sitting SVP has the right to appoint individuals in his corresponding session. In this case, the judicial court appointments during this session, 64, current SVP has the power to appoint these individuals. And once confirmed, these individuals carry their full constitutional power forward into the 65th session and beyond based on the new addition of no term limits for justices. Plaintiff argued that the power of appointment of justices should accrue to SVP-elect Claybrook in confirmation resolution for the 65th session. However, the court evaluated this argument and finds the interpretation inaccurate. Implications: SVP Pickering has the authority to appoint justices during the 64th session of Student Senate, and those justices, once confirmed, will carry all constitutionally granted power with them until they are no longer justices on the judicial court.
Okay.
Point of information. Mr. Butler. I really am trying to understand all this nonsense in my mind. So if this is gonna go to rules and regs probably, unless you can answer it. If I was class of 2013 and I was graduating in May, which I'm not, class of 2011, what SVP would pick my replacement? Would it be Claybrook or the new one?
I don't know the answer. I'll refer it to Speaker Wilson.
Okay, can you please repeat it one more time?
Okay, so I'm class of 20. I'm a justice for the 2012-2013 session. I'm graduating in May. What SVP appoints my replacement?
Okay, so you're talking about
not
this
right.
time.
Next year.
In general, for the continuation of the court. Right. In that case, it's whatever. So whenever that seat needs to be filled, whoever is sitting fills it. So your graduation would fall after the changeover to the new student body president. You'd have a new student body president in office at that time, and then he would appoint your replacement after your graduation.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Another point of information is that since Mr. Bowen had the opportunity to elaborate on this point, may Chief Justice Rowe also elaborate on his?
Do you have anything further you need to add?
I mean, all I'm going to say is no, I'm not going to say that because it's not worth my time. But what this is getting down to is we've had the case, we've had a chance to hear from everybody. No, I don't think anyone actually came to the case. That's great. So you don't know what argument was done. That's fine. That's fair. But this is kind of a done deal for us. We evaluated everything Scott said was brought up in the case, and we evaluated each argument and ruled against it in each individual one. Like that's all I'm going to say about that.
Madam Speaker,
I rarely do this, but I have a point of information. Since we're just going to retry the court case anyway, can we just absolve J-Court and just be the J-Court?
With that, we're going to go back to debate. First is Senator Young.
And I yield the 10. Great. Thank you. Howdy. Okay, this is just an absolute mess. So let's get, I hate to even argue the constitutionality of it, but apparently that's what we're doing tonight, so that's what I will do. So my original understanding was the same as everyone who says that it should be the new student body president, right? That was my original understanding. Jeff came to us and said, the way he read it, he thought he was supposed to, I looked at it again, I said, holy cow, you're right, there's a big gaping hole here. There's a big gaping hole and it's not clear. Now Scott took the appointment accruing to the new student body president out of context. That's under the executive part of the Constitution, right? That's not specifically under the judicial court appointment procedures, which are outlined separately in the new Constitution. They're outlined in a separate section. It doesn't say that in the new section, right? So there's this gray area, right? So who is the current student body president under the Constitution with the power of appointment? That would be Jeff Pickering. He is the currently seated student body president with the constitutional authority of appointment under the clause that Scott just cited. So the question is not who currently has the power of executive appointment. The question is, does the appointment have to happen now? That is the question. That is the part that is not explicitly outlined in the Constitution as to whose responsibility is it to appoint the new one. Now, my understanding, when I talked with Jeff, when I talked with Ben, when I talked with various other officers and senators and J-Court members, my understanding was the whole point that we were trying to fix with the new Constitution is having a new Senate come in with no J-Court existing. That was the legislative intent of the Constitution was, let's fix this whole mess where we don't have a court. So that was the argument that was brought to J-Court. J-Court said, you're absolutely right. It makes no sense. That's why you passed the new Constitution. So for someone to come forward and say that the point is, how much time do I have? 30 seconds. The whole point is for you to just hand it off again, have the same problem one more time. That doesn't make any sense. And Scott and the rest of the team that argued their side of the case failed to convince the court of that. Don't interrupt me.
Was not involved in that case at all.
No.
Okay.
With that, you still have about 15 seconds.
Okay, he wasn't involved in the case, but he was part of the whole discussion that was going on. The point is, the people that brought the case failed to convince the J Court. The decision's been made. They said it's your responsibility to appoint the new court. Argue about the court. This has been argued for months, and the decision was made. Thank you.
Motion to move to previous question.
Second.
Did I say second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Please say nay.
Nay.
I call my own decision. All those for moving to previous question, please stand.
I'm stupid.
You get confused?
About this, yes.
Yeah.
This is like
Let's go.
This is like
I'm sorry. This is like the highest level of student government.
Okay, thank you. All those stand, please stand. Okay, back to the period of debate. Yeah, speaking against Senator Striegel.
Alright, howdy guys. Howdy! This isn't about the people, this is about the process. It's been done wrong. As Scott pointed out, a majority of the court that heard the case about this had an interest in ruling the way that they ruled. It doesn't matter. Well, none of those people knew yet who the appointments were. That doesn't matter. They had the potential to be appointed. They knew that if they ruled against it, then they definitely wouldn't be. But if they ruled for it, then they had the potential to be. Look, these people can all apply again, and John Claybrook can appoint them. There's no reason these people can't get appointed. The point is, it's not Jeff's to pick. And if we want to make the argument that, well, you can't have them all expire because then we wouldn't have a court. Okay, so what happens? Let's say we appoint all these people. We're in the middle of next year sometime, and all 9, for whatever reason, resign at the same time. Oh no, we don't have a court. So what do we go back and get Jeff to appoint 9 more? Like, I mean, it makes no sense. It's completely possible that you could have all 9 resigns, not have a court, and we can't make that argument then. And I yield to Tyler Ranger.
Howdy guys.
Howdy.
You can't, sorry, I just want to reiterate what Matt said. You can't take the decision of the J Court seriously in this case because there is a clear conflict of interest. The majority of members, and no offense intended, but there's a conflict of interest. The majority of members had an interest in the interview process. I believe that Chief Justice himself knew who was going to be appointed because he was in charge, one of the people deciding who was going to be appointed. He did not recuse himself. So there's a clear conflict of interest on his part and on the majority of justices who were applying for their new positions. With that, I yield to Senator McNabb.
Yeah, just real quick, Tom Stark, Student Services. Again, to read it. The term of the student body president shall be in accordance with the length of the term of his or her correspondent session in the student senate, but the power of appointment for the incoming session of the student body shall occur to the student body president for the incoming session of the student senate immediate upon his election. Now, if that was Jeff, why would they say immediate upon his election? That was a year ago.
You deliberately.
So then
Shut up!
Point of order.
Yes. Point of order is well taken. You got 1 second to finish your sentence.
I read it word for word.
I move for previous question.
Motion has been made for previous question again. It's been seconded. All in favor of previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
And sure the ayes had it that time. So with that, okay, division's been called.
What is this?
He was kidding. Yes, you can. I was under that impression also, but apparently you can. So no, you can. That's what I said. You can. Yeah. All in favor, please stand. Okay. Previous question.
Yeah. No damage.
26. All opposed, please stand.
Still working things out in the old cock brain.
10. Okay, previous question definitely passes. Sure.
Ballot vote.
Okay, yes, ballot vote.
And this is only on the 8th.
This is only on the 8th.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Can I have what was the J Court vote on the case?
Chief Justice, what was the vote on the case? It was
Ballots.
unanimous vote of the court.
Raise your hand. Thanks, Jay.
Mr. Speaker!
I was What?
We could tell Huh?
4 or 5, that's what they just said.
I have a really good debate point.
No, your point is well taken. Okay, hold on everybody.
Wait.
There was a point of information raised and I need to share it with the body. So of the current J-Court members that are being appointed, only 2 participated in the case. Four applicants participated, but only 2 are currently the ones being up for appointment.
Point of information,
Stage 1.
and I apologize for not, I was late to the meeting.
Yes.
There's 9 justices, but we're voting on 8, is this correct?
Correct, everyone but Senator Casada.
Okay.
I will let Sarah make sure.
Wait.
Point of information.
Ballots. Yes, vote against is against.
Let me put J48. What are you writing?
Anyone need a ballot?
Should abstain. Feels good. Abstain? You should abstain. Wait, not again. No, you should abstain.
Ballot.
That's what Jay Porter did for 8. And he did that.
No, you abstain this time.
I thought you said okay.
I'll abstain. Vote against. We need the vote. Don't abstain. Oh, wait. Whose is this? I'd like to go to
Any more ballots?
I'm all by myself. I don't even know why they brought this up. I'm gonna go talk. Is this even plugged in? We can confirm just the one guy. Yeah. Supreme Court does. Okay, this is like so every year check the combinations, and I'm familiar also with the
Nope. Okay, I need everyone's attention. No one who does not have speaking privileges is allowed to be meandering in and around the body. I don't see anybody right now, but apparently that was an issue. So if you don't have speaking privileges in this room right now, you can't be wandering around the body.
Point of information. If somebody does that, what do we get to do?
You can ask them politely to step outside if you're trying to talk to them.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the Yankees or we right there.
Click his life.
Yeah, so Senate, while this ballot is being tabulated, we'll now move on to the next point, which is debate the one, so Senator Casada. So debate against confirming Senator Casada. I'll see Senator Briscoe.
Howdy, Tyler Briscoe off campus. I'm sorry, but you can't make meetings in this organization. It seems like you wouldn't really, it seems like you don't care about SGA in my opinion. And the way it kind of looks is he never showed up. I mean, and I'm just really not sure that he would succeed at J-Court. It almost seems like what he's doing is he's like, oh, that's an easier branch of SGA, and it won't be that hard to show up and to basically, you know, participate. And I can't agree with that. If your heart is not with the governance of A&M and of its students, I just can't agree that you would succeed in that position. And with that, I yield to Senator Cleckley.
There's going to be a lot of things that are wrong. Like, he was confused about the emails and whatnot. The emails were addressed to the 64th that we still had an agenda. So that to me, it either shows a lack of reading skills or a lack of caring. In either way, I can't confirm him as a justice for it. You know, fault me as a human being, but if you're not going to show up to a meeting that you explicitly were sent an agenda and 1,000 bills for, then how are you going to be trusted to show up to, you know, something that could decide who the next SVP is? I mean, we had that example this year. Hutchison.
One addition to stage point. Why are we debating about a personnel and not the procedure? That's a debatable point, so I can't hear it. But I mean, okay. So the question was, why are we debating about a personnel rather than the procedure? And my answer is that's debatable because people might have their own reasons, so that can't be raised as a point. So with that, I'm sorry. Returning to your recognition.
Hey, howdy. So back to the first class. To start, guys, I brought this issue to your awareness because I thought this was a serious position, and I wanted to bring all issues that I was made aware of to your knowledge. I like Andrew. I think he's a decent guy, but I did have an issue with this. He hasn't been to a meeting since the 65th session started, and also when he was here for appointment, well, not for appointment, the last session, he could have stayed, but he didn't. I take it a little personal because I'm his fellow freshman senator, but then again, I brought this to your attention because I thought it was important. I do think that there are some issues with this. I'm still kind of on the border voting him for him or not for these other issues. I do believe that it is a little bit unfair to bring him into light because we know there's one bad thing about him, but I don't know other bad things about the other appointees. But I wanted to bring this to your attention because this is what I was made aware of. So I believe that him not being here looks bad upon him and represents a lack of attention. And then I felt compelled to bring this to your attention because I thought it was important.
How much time do you have left?
5 seconds.
Fascinating. Part of your A&M resume, you're judged by if you serve
complete your sentence.
In an anonymous, effective manner. That's going to follow you around at A&M, and we need to hold people personally accountable, as Ron Paul said.
Okay. I'll direct that.
Thank you. I pulled up his attendance record. His first absence was on February 29th, opening roll call. After that, he has missed the March 7th and March 21st meetings, which is after the 65th session started. Before that, he had perfect attendance.
Okay. With that, we gotta go back to debate. This is debate for Speaker Hathaway.
I yield to.
So if you're going to call it attendance question for missing 2.5 meetings this semester, the kid could have stuff going on. He could have schoolwork. He could have job search. He could have God knows what needs to go on. So you're going to call attendance. I think that is a weak argument. Probably the worst thing I've ever heard in terms of an argument said. So you're going to sit there. He could have other things going on. He missed 2 meetings. He's meeting every week when 65th started. And you're going to sit there and knock him for 2 meetings that he misses. I've missed meetings. I know other senators have missed meetings. They have other stuff going on, not just this room. If you're going to debate that he can't fulfill his duty, that's... I can't go.
Hey, real quick, vote on your conscience on this. I'm not going to really touch on that. However, I will say that 2.5 absences, you're allowed to have 4. So he's fine. So it's not an issue at all. That's not an issue. 2.5 absences is not an issue. I'm sure a lot of people in here have 2.5 absences. I do. I mean, I think I have 3. I'm still within the bylaws. I mean, you know. So I don't see why that's a problem at all. Mark?
Howdy. I completely...
Can I raise a point of information now and then get back to Mark? I think this is do we have a final vote count on the other?
We do. I'll make the body aware of that once we're finished with this. Senator Womack.
Yeah, guys, this is a weird situation. I know the majority of you, probably 2/3 of you right now, have 2.5 absences, or if you've been senators, have had 2.5 absences. Chair Harrison can probably attest to you. A whole lot of you are about to have more than 2.5 absences, when most of you don't complete the 12-man points program. So please do not do this. Please do not get on your high horse and degrade this guy. We don't know what, Senator Brown hit right in the head. We do not know what is going on in this man's life. If you have not asked him about this personally, even if you had, it does not matter. We set the bylaws for absences. Absence forgiveness on top of that. This guy has followed the rules. He just has had a problem in the last month. But according to our bylaws, our standards of behaviors, he is well within his rights to student service. He had perfect attendance up to that. Let's not demigod this one issue that is really getting away the confirmation. I just don't think this is appropriate. A lot of us have 2.5 absences. I really just think this is a big waste of time. I think we need to stop this and move to the previous question.
Because it is relevant to know whether we would only have one justice confirmed or not, can we get the vote total now for the others before we take a vote on Senator Casada? Okay, yes. The vote on the court was 24 to 22 to 1, so confirmation fails. With that,
point of information.
Motion previous question is made, but yes, what's your point?
I'm sorry, I was just under the impression that he had more than 2.5 absences. He's been,
she looked it up.
Correct, like today?
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you. Motion for previous question has been made and seconded. All in favor of previous question, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay. Division. All in favor, please stand.
I just want one senator to be the justice. I think we'll also make him Chief Justice.
Okay, 22. All opposed to previous question, please stand.
Why are we not voting?
Okay, so the previous question passes. So 22 to 17, that fails. It's 2/3. Oh, you're right. Sorry. So with that, again, Senator Sosa.
Senate, not only is this not within the guidelines of the Constitution, but also it doesn't matter how many absences we've had. It matters that because you didn't win a re-election to the Student Senate, you stopped showing up to the remaining of the meetings during the 64th session. And I think that is not professional, and that shows that you're not really focused too much on serving the student body here in the Student Senate, rather than finding a position where you can serve an SGA regardless of where it is. I yield to Senator Hughes.
Howdy, Senate. So it's not about whether or not you have student absences or how many absences you had, or even why he missed the meeting. I realize there may be legitimate reasons, but you can ask him. He was asked why he missed the meetings, and then the reason was because he didn't know he was supposed to be there. He got the exact same emails that all of us got. So he's just, it shows that he doesn't have an attention to detail, and that's something that you definitely need whenever you're looking at complex bylaws. I mean, we've been arguing about the bylaws all night. So we definitely need someone who has more attention to the detail than that. And I yield to Scott.
Okay. Guys, we just didn't confirm 8 other justices for a really good reason. The exact same reason why I mean, right now what we're voting on is, do we want to have a court of one person? That's insane. And one person who can't show up to meetings? No, that would be an absolute disaster. No, we cannot confirm Senator Casada for all of the reasons stated before, and for the new reasons that apply only to him. Guys, let's just end this. I move for previous question.
Second.
Second. All in favor of the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Previous question passes. We will take a ballot vote.
Pen I can use. You have pen I can use. I think it'd be really quick. Yeah. I didn't realize all the things behind it. You should never. Really, so my laptop is in my parking. That one you didn't have anything in it. Probably get rid of it. Tony Lewis. Hey guys, I'm very I got you guys. What's that guy's name again? That's right, Jake. Ballots? Anybody? Mine's all right. You got it. Jake Court 1 all right? Yeah, Jake Court 1. It kind of divided. Anybody else? Oh, there's mine! Turn it in! Right here. Injustice. Hey, I think no.
All right, Senate, come back to order. We're not done yet. While those votes are being counted, we're going to have exec reports. Jeff? I second. Motion seconded. All in favor of adjourning the meeting and not hearing exec reports, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay. Chair, the nays have it. I heard a majority nays. You have to hear the damn ballots anyways. Sam! Everybody Sam!
Howdy? Howdy! Okay, we're gonna try that one more time. Howdy? Howdy!
You're right. Okay, you're right. Take a deep breath. Y'all embarrass me. All in favor of adjourning, please stand. Wow, what a majority. All opposed, please stand. Want to question my ruling again? Sit down!
Mr. Speaker. All right, well, howdy.
Howdy! You didn't make a point. Jeff, get started.
Okay. Well, in the sake of starting over all on the same page, howdy. Howdy! There we go. Okay. It's tradition that when the student body president walks off the stage at muster, the office turns over, the keys turn over, the pass turns over. I mean, all that stuff turns over, and you move on. And let me tell you, it was bittersweet to walk away from this year. It's been a phenomenal year. We've done a lot of good. We really have. We've done a lot of good in this room. We've done a lot of good in Coldus. We've done a lot of good for the future of student government. I think we've done a lot of good for this campus. We've served students and we've done it well. And so when we saw that the timeline was going to come to where we were going to have no choice but to call a special session to confirm J-Court, I thought, I don't want it to be my responsibility. If you ask the people on my cabinet, we had discussions about this. I don't want this to be my responsibility. Like, I'm done. It's been a good year. It's been fun. We're signing the final bills tonight. Like, let's move on. So this isn't a conflict of that. And so I want to just bring up a few points that were raised this evening in the confirmations process. So to say that I care if it's me or if it's Claybrook, if it's 64, if it's 65, I don't. We were simply following the interpretation that the judicial court had of the Constitution, and that is the ultimate thing that's constitutional, is following the interpretation that J-Court has of the Constitution. You can't get more constitutional. So to say that I want to be here, I don't. I just started dating somebody this year, and I would much rather be hanging out with her and confirming justices for the SGA Judicial Court. Trust me, I don't necessarily want to be here. So this doesn't come from some deep-seated, yeah, it's got to be me. That's not, some of this coming. I'm simply following these orders, and I'm sitting here going, dang it, I wish J-Court would have ruled the other way. But here's the deal. if I could address a few of the points that were brought up in the meeting tonight. Chairman Nutt, to say that there are people, and you were talking about me and the people that agree with me, that will call everybody out for being bad Aggies if you don't agree with us. I just want you to know that hurt, because I don't think any of y'all are bad Aggies. If you don't go to Silver Taps, then we can have a discussion there. But I don't think anybody in this room is bad Aggie. I never have this entire year. I simply think there are processes set up to discuss these types of things. This is exactly like the SFAB confirmations. In SFAB confirmations, we did not confirm people because they said they weren't going to comb through budgets and look for waste. It was brought up that maybe that should be SGA's job if we think there's waste to comb through and look for waste. So then we confirm SFAB. To say that it's the Senate's responsibility to override the interpretation of the judicial court in the confirmation vote is that doesn't fall in line anywhere in any of our processes. So there was a trial brought up. Brody sued us. Brody sued us, and that was publicized. We talked about it at Governance Council many times. Chair Bowen, I know you brought up many complaints, so if your complaints were founded in your personal interpretation of the Constitution, which is totally fine. And at this point, trust me, I'd much rather them gone the other way. So if it was actually in the personal interpretation of the Constitution, then where were you, Chair Bowen? Where were you, Chair McNutt? Where were you? Who else voted again? Where were y'all when the case was heard? Argue it there. And if we would have argued it there, then maybe this whole thing would have been turned around. That could have been worked out. That's the place to hear these kinds of things. It's totally okay if your personal interpretation is different. Because it wasn't, then to do that here tonight is found nowhere in any of our processes. So that's the problem tonight. If you don't want to confirm these people because you disagree with my choice, that is 100% your right. That is absolutely your right. And that's why we have confirmations. It is a check and balance. I should not be able to. No student body president should ever be able just to appoint people and there it is, especially for another branch. And so, you know, I don't think this is a matter of people's personal interpretation of a Constitution, because none of the people who said they have a personal interpretation of the Constitution is different showed up to argue or help argue that case. So because of that, the only thing I can assume is that this is simply because the people who are arguing against it want this to be in the 65th because the people who are like-minded, like them, have a majority in the 65th. Don't let that be the reason that you're not going to confirm these people.
Where was I when the case was called? I'm not going to hear that because that's you making a point, using a point of information, and I have consistently denied people that opportunity. So sit down.
We have the ability to bring our appointees back one more time. We're going to bring them back into joint session for confirmation. And at that time, I think it'd be great if in the next week you reached out to those people, and if you want to confirm them then, we will have that opportunity to confirm them then. But there are processes set in place to handle these types of things. And it's going to be better for the future student government if we follow those processes. And with that, because I promise I do not think we're all bad Aggies, I'm going to end with what we always end our speeches with, and I'd love to hear you say it back so that we can all remain on the same page and have debate in a red-ass type of manner where we walk out still respecting each other. So with that, I'll end my exec report with a thanks and gig 'em.
Yeah. Jeff, can you take 2 quick questions? Yeah. I have a report on. Okay, no questions. Senator Sosa, you're the only question. Would you like that?
SVP Pickering D. When was the hearing information posted on the J-Court website?
I will defer that to Chief Justice.
24 hours before. Okay, great, thank you. So my exec report, real fast. I want to start by saying I really and truly do love all of you. I love this body. I've devoted 4 years of my life to this group. I really, really, truly care about you. You're an incredible group of people, and I said that in my letter a couple weeks ago, okay? I really do love you, and I am so proud of so many of the things we've done this year, okay? Let me tell you why I'm mad, not at you people, but at this body. Let me tell you why I'm mad. I have watched Senate do bylaws bills for 4 years. I have no idea what our average is, but I swear it's at least one bylaws bill a meeting. When you add in all of the different bylaws bills we could pass. Seriously, think about this for a second. Ponder this. What organization do you know that changes its own rules every time they sit down? Now, ask me why this happened. Ask me why people are confused. The one issue that people had with the new Constitution, the one issue of clarification, the one thing that needed somebody to say, hey, what does this mean? That was the one bylaw amendment, the bill that you should pass. You should pass a constitutional amendment in the weeks and weeks and weeks that we've had since it passed to clarify that issue. That's the one bill that somebody should write so that we can avoid a court case and we can avoid a fight. But instead, we say, well, we'll let the courts sort that out, and then we'll just say screw them anyways. And then we're just going to move on and alter new rules, and we're going to alter new attendance policies, and we're going to alter new things. Every single meeting. Do you think this is going to work? How many more years is this going to work? How many more years are you going to sit here for hours and change your own rules and not serve students? I am so tired of hearing the word transparency. I was tired of hearing the word transparency 2 years ago. Why? Because no student has ever complained to me. No student has ever told me, I don't know what's going on in SGA. Why do they keep the doors shut? Why can't I hear what's going on? Why can't I see the meeting online? Why can't I see the minutes? Where are the bills? Nobody's ever said that. You don't have a transparency problem. Stop trying to fix it. Focus on the students and stop changing your own rules. The Constitution and bylaws that we have up from less than 2 months ago is not current. And I have asked Chair Bowen to please update it, but he's got so many updates to put in. I'm not calling you out. I'm saying there have been so many bills that have passed since last Wednesday. How can anyone keep up? This is what the IRS does. They change the bills every time they sit down to the point that nobody knows what's in it. There is no current copy of the tax code. Do you really want to keep doing this? Stop being dumb. And I'm not calling you individuals dumb. I'm saying what this body is doing is dumb. You have 9 fantastic people. And the reason that they're not the judicial court now is because we keep doing this to ourselves. Stop it! Seriously! With that, I will take questions. Chair Harris.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
And I don't mean this sarcastically,
yes.
But and I mean this with all due respect.
Yes.
But what moving forward, what do you expect from the Rules and Regulations Committee in the next session? I mean, I know that you're not in the next session.
Right.
If you could have this redone, maybe that's a better way to rephrase it. If this session could be redone, what would you expect from the Rules and Regulations?
I will gladly answer that. So we said we were going to have a bylaws audit this spring. That's been done. Hopefully that means our bylaws are finally clarified. What I will say is, spend a year and work within them. Spend a year to figure out what the problems are, what the ambiguities are. Spend some time and stop anticipating problems that may or may not arise. If a problem arises and it has to be addressed right then, address it. If not, start a list and spend all year. Let the Rules and Regulations Committee spend all year collecting problems, collecting complaints, and pass one fixer bill towards the end of the session.
Brief follow-up.
Yes, you may. Yes.
So, if there's a time, and I agree, completely 100% agree with you. If there's a time, because we don't want to have a no report or not have meetings bi-weekly.
Right.
What should we then do in lieu of not having bills in the committee?
Okay, I believe, and Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, committee meetings may be done by teleconference, video conference, etc. Yes. Yes, they may. Okay. So I would advise the committee, if they don't really have to come up here every week, have a phone meeting. Chat about it and say, hey, does anybody see any problems that have come up in the last week? Has anybody heard anything? If not, great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for getting on the call. See you later. It has to be a 5-minute meeting unless somebody has an issue. I mean, there's no reason that committee meetings I mean, student services, for example, their committee meetings, they have a lot of reasons to have special presentations for dining services, transportation, everything else, and are really substantive meetings. If you don't have to do that in rules and regulations, don't try to be something you don't have to. That's what I would say. Does that answer your question? Right, Snickers, yes.
I move to reconsider and enter on the minutes the results of both votes that were taken today.
Right, and reconsider and enter on the minutes. I think I know, but I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. Can you please explain it to the board?
Okay. What this does is it freezes the decision that was made. This is a motion to reconsider that is delayed action, so it takes place at the next meeting. And the reason I'm doing this is because we're having them come forward anyway. It's not because I agree that it should be reconsidered, I know. But it needs to be made it's a cleaner way to bring them up next time and save us all a lot of trouble.
Okay. Thank you. State your point.
When I've read the reconsider and enter on the minutes, there's only can only be applied the motion passes in the affirmative. So it stops the motion from taking effect until the next meeting, but it has no effect if it's turned down.
That is not true. Motions in the negative can be reconsidered.
Okay.
This is
reconsider and enter on the minutes.
No. Okay. A motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes is a motion to reconsider.
So that's not true, actually. It is in Robert's rules.
It's a separate motion, but it acts like a motion.
Hold on, everyone. Yes.
What were the results of the second vote we took tonight?
It also failed. 17-25. 323. I'm getting Robert's rules out right now. 322 to 323. Different. How it differs. Yes. Wait. Oh, okay. Here's the answer. It can only. This is the motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes can only be applied to votes that finally dispose of main motions. That is to an affirmative or negative vote on a main motion.
Right.
So it can. Yes. It can.
Just real quick, I have some questions.
Yes.
So would this make sure that it is the same people? That this freezes it to where it has to be the same 9 people?
Yes, it does.
And it has to, in fact, still be 8-1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Both votes taken again. Okay. That is the in order way to do that because it's not in order to consider the same motion twice.
Right. So, I'm sorry, Senator Mann, put it in a second. You seconded.
Well, it doesn't need to be seconded.
Okay. All right. All in favor? It's not debatable.
It's not debatable.
Right. It's not debatable. Right.
Right. It's everything's done.
Oh, wait, you've already done it.
Yes, everything is done.
So we don't need a vote.
No,
that's right. You're right. You're absolutely right. I apologize. So yeah, this is a bizarre motion because it doesn't actually need a vote. So we will hear the motion to reconsider next time.
So move to adjourn.
Second. We
You
still have a couple of reports we haven't heard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you withdrawing?
No.
All right. It's been seconded. All in favor of returning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, all right. Well, it's 2/3 majority. Oh, it is majority. That's never mind. Sorry, I thought it was 2/3. Okay, with that, the motion to adjourn does pass. So we will hear closing roll. You can get the report by email.
Wait until last meeting.
1 second.
Speaker Wilson.
Howdy.
Myself, howdy. Chair Rowan.
Howdy.
Smith.
Howdy.
Barber.
Howdy.
Nidegger. Howdy. Lincoln.
Howdy.
Harris.
Howdy.
Kazler. Golden. Grantham. Thornburg. Nostrovika. Howdy. Riley.
Howdy.
Robertson. Brown. Miller. Young. Jake Harris.
Howdy. Senator, please stay in order.
Kim. Canoe. Manfrey. Simon. Chen. Hutchison. Estrada. Pittman. Melendez. Toots. Ward Van Dyke. Nelson. Altendorf. Kingsbury. Jessup. King. Kelly. Hernandez. Sosa. Fernandez. Wolseley.
Howdy.
Struble.
Howdy.
Markowski.
Howdy.
Williamson.
Howdy.
Castillejon. Howdy. Fourier. Esparza.
Howdy.
Keith. Howdy. Hilton. Buckley.
Howdy.
Lawson. Howdy. Luke.
Howdy.
Murad. Howdy, sorry. David.
Howdy.
Robert.
Howdy.
Shutt. Howdy. Hill. Sullivan. Price.
Howdy.
Van Dyne.
Howdy.
Verisco.
Howdy.
Womack. Adams. Penniman.
What? Who else is you there? Dibs. One go. Dibs.
And if they are,
And I appreciate your if you want to do it again in like 4 hours, that would be amazing. I like where your head's at.
So keep assuming.
I don't know Can you bring down your Chris? Can you bring down your placard? Oh, you can keep it, I guess, but you need it for joint session.
Do you use the same placard or the old ones?
I have no idea. Wait, that's the.
Hey guys, there's a new seating chart because of the officers moving around and stuff like that. So before you pop a squat, make sure that you're in the right place. We're gonna get that up momentarily. So,
LA, right? Also, we have people up here for
Thank you.
Up there? Okay. It's in the corner. It's Thank you. Yeah, it's so like the so I have to open it and it really shouldn't be that hard, but it's just right. Are you there? Excellent. Very well.
Why is
I got a big boulder here. So yeah, I'm gonna take my notes from you. I make one of those shits. Yeah. Alright, that works.
How are you? Pretty good. I'm Matt. Brad. Brad? Nice to meet you. What college are you? Big 20. I'm not a teacher. Oh, you're not? What do you do? I'm going to do IT. Okay. Is that official? Not, it's a exec. Okay. I think they're going to get fish aids to run the camera and everything. Okay. Very nice. Later on. Me now, I'm gonna crack stuff. I got trying to get my boater's license. I'm getting my boater's license so I can go to camp. Yeah. Is it not?
Guys, I am so sorry that this is taking so long, that we're getting off to a late start. We had some difficulties in the last session, but all that means is we have to stay in order, stay on point, and make this just go as smoothly as possible. I did want to make the body aware of a couple of new rules that have been put in place since the last session. Anyone who is not a senator, just based on our rules, is not allowed to sit in the Senate seating area. That's just to kind of keep things in order and keep things quiet, so that people aren't kind of invading personal space. Now with that, also people who are not student senators are not allowed to go up and down the aisles and start talking to you and lobbying stuff. That'll also keep things quiet. So what we're doing tonight is we are voting on the people who will be executing all of the policy that we pass through the Senate, whether it's the committees, whether it is advocacy to governments, whether it is student services or academic issues. All of the stuff we do is put into action by them. So it is your duty to make sure that they are the most qualified, that they are best, that they have what it takes to make this great session even greater and make us a great student government association. So you can vote for whatever reasons you want. You can support them, not support them. All of that is your right and it's your decision to make. So think independently. Debate, especially if you haven't stood up and debated before, you really should, because you only get better every time you do it. And with that, let's have a Fighting Texas Aggie Student Senate meeting.
Okay. Guard. Senator Guard. Senator Brody. Senator Brody. Senator Slusser. Howdy. Senator Taft. Senator Taft. Senator Smith. Here, howdy. Senator Kelsey. Senator Kelsey. Senator Golden. Senator Davenport. Senator Davenport. Senator Chair Miller.
Howdy.
Senator Boisard. Senator McCreary. Senator Courtney.
Howdy.
Senator Woolridge. Senator Woolridge. Senator Owens.
Howdy.
Senator Kingsbury. Senator Kingsbury. Senator Goff. Senator Goff. Senator Cheshire.
Howdy.
Senator Carpenter.
Howdy.
Senator Hernandez.
Howdy.
Senator Bryson.
Howdy.
Senator Pollock. Senator Pollock. Senator Penniman. Senator Penniman. Senator Nidagger. Howdy. Senator Hathaway. Howdy. Senator Howard.
Howdy.
Senator Alders.
Howdy.
Senator Smith.
Howdy.
Myself. Senator Woolsey.
Howdy.
Senator Hurley. Howdy. Senator Sosa. Chair Sosa.
Howdy.
Senator Kale. Senator Kale. Senator Edmund. Senator Edmund. Senator Chair Mandry.
Howdy.
Senator Rios.
Howdy.
Senator Nate.
Howdy.
Senator Kim.
Howdy.
Senator Castelleca. Howdy. Senator Ganu.
Howdy.
Speaker Bowen.
Howdy.
Senator Young.
Howdy.
Senator Popper.
Howdy.
Senator Harris. Chair Harris.
Oh, I'm sorry. Howdy. I thought it was in Paris.
Senator Flex.
Howdy.
Senator Russo.
Howdy.
Senator Luz. Chair Luz. Chair Luz.
Howdy.
Senator Boyd. Howdy. Senator Davis.
Howdy.
Senator Allen. Senator Allen. Senator Kelly.
Howdy.
Senator Mole. Howdy. Senator Joyce. Senator Joyce. Senator Potcotter.
Howdy.
Senator Sparta.
Howdy.
Senator Price.
Howdy.
Senator Brown. Senator Brown. Senator Duque.
Howdy.
Senator Hawks. Howdy. Senator G.
Howdy.
Senator Williamson.
Howdy.
Senator Bateman.
Howdy.
Senator Melendez. Howdy. Senator Brushmiller.
Howdy.
Senator Phelps. Senator Phelps. Senator Hiesel. Howdy. Senator Colwell. Senator Haman. Howdy. Senator Carey. Senator Carey. Senator Heat. Howdy.
Speaker comment?
Oh.
With that, we will, Mara, please give me the indication for please.
Oh, hold on.
Set Chair Ganu, read the indication for please stand. Bow your head.
God, we pray that you're in this place right now. Thank you so much for this opportunity just to be here with these great individuals, these great students. Would you just remind us that we're here to serve? Tonight's all about service and all about the students. And would you put your pride behind us and help us to see clearly and think clearly? Lord, we pray that you are in our hearts to serve students today, and that whatever we do that for them. In God's name, amen. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And the mission statement is the Texas A&M University Student Senate represents all students in order to enhance the Texas A&M experience within our community, within our university and communities through research, legislation, and advocacy in accordance with the core values of our institution. And the core values are excellence, integrity, respect, loyalty, leadership, and service. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we will now move into a period of open forum. Before we do that, though, last meeting we had a little bit of a problem with question and answer time being unlimited during open forum. So each person in open forum is now allowed to be asked 3 questions. So I will entertain I will entertain a motion to limit the time for each answer to 30 seconds. So it would be 1:30 total, as well as 2 minutes 30 for speaking time. So is that seconded? That's that. Well, I've entertained a motion, so it's I move. So moved. And seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The first item for open forum is Andrew J. Merrick, who is a chemical engineering major from off-campus, class of 2012.
Howdy. So my name is Andrew Jan Carrick, and many of you know me as a senator in the 64th, and I'm going to keep this really short because we've already taken way too much of your time. But I just wanted to say a few words about my good friend Jose Luis tonight.
Point of order. Under the new bylaws, open forum speech having to do with confirmations is not.
Oh, this isn't about his confirmation. It's just about, I want to talk to you about my good friend Jose Luis.
Okay, that's, if he is being confirmed at this meeting, then that would count as a character witness, which is not allowed. The student body president does have the opportunity to speak on his behalf. So, under the new bylaws, that's not allowed.
I'm pretty sure anybody could appeal his decision about that.
Is there an appeal to the decision of the chair? That appeal has been made by Senator Hernandez. Is it seconded?
30 seconds, y'all.
Your time is not counting. So an appeal has been made to the decision of the chair. Does that receive a second? Okay. It is received seconds. Okay. Here's how an appeal to the decision of the chair works. The body will vote either to sustain or overturn my ruling. So my ruling is that that speech on behalf of Jose Luis counts as a speech on behalf of a confirmation. So that is out of order. So all of those who agree with that ruling, please say aye. Aye. All of those who oppose that ruling, please say nay. Nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. My ruling is sustained, so that is out of order.
Is the guy on?
Thank you. And that concludes open forum. So we will now move into executive confirmations. Now, the student body president has requested that all nominees.
I move to give Mark Womack speaking privileges.
A motion. Okay, that motion is for what? Just in general, or?
Like once presentations begin.
Okay, that motion is out of order because the bylaws specifically state that the only individuals who are allowed to have speaking privileges during executive confirmations are the student body president and the nominees themselves. So no one else can be given speaking privileges even with the motion because that would be overturning the bylaws. So that motion.
No motions overturn the bylaws with a 2/3 vote?
No, no. Only when the bylaws allow a motion to be made by a 2/3 vote to suspend rules or anything. Please state your point.
Could a 2/3 vote then suspend the bylaws?
Chair Harris, is there such thing as a motion to suspend the bylaws?
I can answer this. Okay, so you can't suspend the bylaws because that would essentially take an amendment to the bylaws. But I did have a point of preliminary inquiry on the decision that you made. To my knowledge, I thought you could, like the bylaws state who has speaking privileges at the beginning, but can you not before that motion, before Jeff brings that to the body, can you not? I mean, John.
The motion to change the rules of debate, by my understanding, and I may be wrong about this, and if so, feel free to overrule me, only apply to main motions that are not confirmations. A confirmation is not a main motion the way we normally consider it. It's actually a motion to ratify under Robert's rules. But that's handled in a completely different section of the bylaws, and there's no opportunity for overturning those rules. To my understanding.
I think you're right because John's not a senator, and so he can't make main motions.
Right. So the motion to grant the speaking privileges Mark Womack is out of order. If the nominees will, however, please come before.
For your information, does it say that it has to be senator the one making the motion? Because that's what he's saying. That John can't give him speaking privileges because he's not a senator.
No. What? Okay, so the issue here is that for main motions in the bylaws, Speaking privileges can be granted for presentations, just like normal. Basically, they're governed by the rules of order. However, confirmations are not governed by the rules of order in certain areas because they're handled separately. So, anyway, so with that, if all of the nominees will come forward and introduce themselves, you have 50 minutes. Because you're all going together, so it's 5 minutes per, and then each one will have a 5-minute period of question and answer. The student body president had to attend a staff meeting, so he will be arriving late to the presentation, but he'll still have plenty of time to talk because this is going to go on a while. So, yeah, in whatever, basically the time is yours for 50 minutes. So the only stipulations are that y'all are the only ones allowed to talk and stand on the floor. So the time starts when one of y'all says that.
Point of information. Point of information.
Please say your voice.
How do we go about like asking them questions since they're all going right in a row?
Okay, what I was told by the student body president was that we were doing all of the presentations at the same time. So basically, we have each candidate gets 5 minutes to present and 5 minutes of Q&A. So the way that is going to be done is all of their time is put together for one massive presentation. And then question and answer will go down the agenda in order afterward. So we'll start with, I believe, with nominee Barber, then with Hathaway, then Apple, and on down the list. But basically, right now, y'all have 50 minutes. Do with it what you will. So.
Howdy. Howdy. First off, I'd like to thank you all for being here tonight to listen to us speak as far as objective confirmations go. My name is Michael Apple. I'm a junior finance major here at Texas A&M University, and I'm going for the position of Vice President of Finance. In applying for this role, I had several qualifications, I believe, that have prepared me to serve this role. First, I'd like to speak about my time management skills. When I first came to A&M, I was recruited to play baseball here. As a student athlete, I learned the importance of balancing time under pressure and persevering and succeeding when facing certain challenges. Also, I'm a very transparent and communicative person. When I say this, I mean I'm not afraid to speak my opinion. However, I do value others' opinions just as much. I have a tremendous willingness to work with others. I enjoy serving with others, and as a rising senior at A&M, I feel that A&M has given me so much, and this opportunity to serve really ties in well with my interests and God's given abilities to me. I'd like to talk about my work experience. Last summer I worked for a company called Interstate Batteries and a corporate accounting systems team. In a nutshell, my job was to manage the accounts and balance sheets of their franchise sector. In doing this, I was responsible for allocating certain costs and finding areas where they could cut costs in order to bring in their conservative approach and really apply that to them. This summer I'll be working with a company called First Southwest in their public finance division. That position will better prepare me to serve in the essence of working with people in general and as groups. Now I move on to my vision. As Vice President of Finance, I look to allocate student service fee funds in order to maximize the positive impacts on students through efforts of SGA commissions and committees. In doing this, I will encourage the committees to act as responsible financial stewards of the money that you, the Senate, appropriate. I will conduct fair and just budgetary process following SGA Constitution and subsequent branch bylaws. Also importantly, as a role of Vice President of Finance, I will look to research student fees and stay up to date on those and serve as a proactive role. Something I've already learned was last year the SGA fee committee rejected all fees. Fernando had actually talked to you about this yesterday, about the IT fee wanting to be increased and library fee. Jeff Pickering was wrong in this because they failed to do the research and they didn't realize that there was actually money in reserves, and that was an inappropriate task for them to try and approach students and ask for more money. So I would definitely look into taking a proactive approach in that aspect. Thank you for y'all's time. Amanda.
the Vice President of University Committees. For those of you that don't know necessarily what that position entails, it hasn't been around for a couple of years, but basically it is the oversight for all of the university committees. There are over 100 committees that staff and faculty sit on that have student representatives, and this position is basically created to watch over that and make sure that these students are representing the opinion that student government has given them. So some qualifications that I have, I've been a business senator now for 3 sessions. Last year in the 64th session, I was the Speaker Pro Tempore, which means that I am in charge of, or I was in charge of all the internal operations of the Senate. So I'm very familiar with the administrative tasks that come from student government, and also really enjoyed being able to work on internal processes. As a supply chain management major, I do these crazy little things called process documentation, and I would like to do that in the Vice President position as well. You can ask me questions about that if you're interested. Other than that, I've been a member of 3 university committees thus far, starting as in my freshman year, where I served on the LMS selection committee, which is e-learning's replacement. And since then, I've also been involved in a couple other committees. My goal is to make sure, my goal is to make sure that the university committees are run as efficiently and effectively as possible. I have 5 main things that I'd like to get done for the year, and then at the end of the year, make sure that we transition well. So just to go through it really briefly, I want to increase applicant quantity, quality, and diversity. I have a couple of different ways to do that in the packet. I want to establish accountability and structure. Currently, the process is very ambiguous. Once you are appointed to a university committee, it's very unclear who you speak to and what your specific roles and duties are, so I would like to make that as clear as possible. I would also like to have university committees grouped in subjects and have open forums so that senators and students alike can meet with their representatives on these different committees and be able to hear updates and concerns, and also be really proactive in making sure that those representatives have as much information as possible so that they can best represent the opinions that y'all will give us in the executive branch. Like I said, I really want to foster two-way communication. I feel like right now the university committees are underutilized, and this is a fantastic way to get face time with administrators and actually make sure that what y'all as the Senate pass gets advocated for to the people that make the decision. So with that, I will hand it off to Drew.
All right, well, howdy. I have been selected, pending confirmation, to serve as the internal vice president of Student Government Association for next year. Under the internal vice president falls 3 commissions, the 3 commissions, and the 15 branches of Student Government Association, or the 15 committees of the Student Government Association. Bear with me, I've got bronchitis and a sinus infection. It's really attractive. So next year, going forward with my vision, you see my qualifications, and I just listed SGA experience there as the relevant experience. But been around SGA, been around the committees quite a bit, and seen how the inside of committees work, and what we do well with committees, and what we do poorly with committees, and where we can make improvements. And along with that, with diversity development and elections, there's definitely room for improvement in each of those, and we'll go into those right here. So committees. We get asked a lot of the time, what has SGA done for us? What has SGA done for you? Well, SGA has done a lot, and SGA does a lot. But a lot of times these committees get overlooked as SGA. So I want students to be able to say, carpool gave me a ride home. I want students to be able to say, ARC recruited me to come to Texas A&M. I want students to say, Bill brought me in here as a high schooler and taught me things about Texas A&M. I want people to say the big event was able to facilitate the largest service project for any college in the country. And I want people to link these things with SGA. So we want to market these committees as the Student Government Association, something we've done poorly in the past. On the same note, we want to incorporate the policy. Something that Chair Price really talked about during his presentation was incorporating things like carpool and the big event into CR matters. We need to do the same thing with any other committee that we can. We need to tie them into the process to make them feel more like part of SGA and to utilize the resources that they have in dealing with the specific policy areas that they have. And next, we need to unify student government as a whole. And again, that's what we want to do. We want to make the committees feel like they're part of the process. And we do that through committee roundtables and through programming SGA-wide events to bring all of SGA together. And that's what we want to do with this position
But we really want to make the committees feel like they're part of the process, and we really want to give as much to them as we can so that they can go out and better serve students. Because that's what they're here to do, and they do great at it, in my humble opinion. Development. So how do we do this? Something I've talked to Jackie quite a bit about, something that Jackie's ready to move forward with next year, in addition to fundraising and getting closer to our endowment. If not reaching it, maybe she'll talk about that. But it is using development as a marketing arm. You look at who programs the best on campus. It's the MSC. Why? Because the MSC has an entire department devoted to advertising and marketing. Development can become that, in addition to what they do. And so we want to use development as that arm next year. Next, with elections, we want to ensure, we want to work with you guys to ensure the election process next year is fair as possible, and that it's as smooth as possible, and that there's no problems, and that we can move forward and not encounter any issues like what we saw at TU last year with the federal injunction against their SGA. That's problematic, so we don't want to see that. Diversity. For the first time, diversity has been tasked with something. It's the Aggie Union. And we want to be sure, thank you, Jody, we want to be sure the Aggie Union goes off as smoothly as possible, and that the Aggie Union is intended for what Mr. Harris and Mr. Markowski and whoever else was in on that intended to be, which was a unifying thing amongst every student organization, and bringing student organizations into SGA and letting SGA facilitate them. And we want to make sure that's what we will do with that, and that's what it will be. And so those are my main goals next year. Essentially, on the oversight. And so I just kind of get to watch and make sure everything goes according to their plans. So with that, I will yield to. I won't yield because I'm not in a Senate debate, but Jackie is the next one. So.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Jackie. I'm a junior communication major, and I am coming to you seeking confirmation for the Vice President of Development. A couple things that make me qualified for this position. I guess to start out by telling you all really what development is, in case you don't know. That is the main way that we raise money for SGA. It's fundraising through marketing and putting on events that will raise money to go towards our student government endowment. I have been a student senator for the past two sessions, the 63rd and 64th Senate sessions. One thing that I hope that we are going to go forward with in this upcoming year is the TIP with SGA Golf Tournament. So that's going to take a lot of event planning, a lot of seeking sponsorships. One way that I've done that in the past is the Aggie Greek service trip. There are a couple people in here that I think have gone. It was a huge success. We raised, I was the director of communication. We had a 90% increase in student participation when I was the director, as well as a $3,500 increase in sponsorships when I took on that position. So it was very successful, and I hope to utilize those skills moving forward with the position. I'm also a student worker here in student activities upstairs in Greek Life. I do a lot of marketing, advertising for our department as a whole in there. I do a lot of our brochures, flyers, things like that, and I really want to implement that into development to get people, like Drew said, get the committees to be more involved and get them excited about having that name of SGA attached to them. Things that I want to move forward with, like I said before, the TIP with SGA Golf Tournament. Last year was the first year that that went into place, so I really want to make it bigger, want to get more people out there. I really want to encourage each SGA committee to make a team. I really think that would kind of excite people about SGA and really be a marketing arm in order to increase that name. Another thing, Path to Success Brick Campaign. If you don't know what that is, when you walk into Coldus, all those bricks on the floor with the names on them, that is the Path to Success. I want to kind of rebrand the Path to Success campaign. Right now, I don't know if any of y'all have seen the brochure that we have, but it's brochure/order form. I want to kind of revamp that and make it into a development as a whole brochure, so that people will know more about the golf tournament on that brochure, the Aggie booth, and I'll talk to you about that in the Path to Success. I think that'll be a really good way to get people hyped up about the things that we have going, and hopefully people will put their money where their mouth is, and you can get more money going towards that endowment. Aggie boots. This is something that the previous Vice President of Development kind of implemented within student government. We are working to make custom-made cowboy boots that will have the A&M crest on the front embroidered. They are really nice looking, and so hopefully my goal is to get those on sale at Mule Barn. Y'all can kind of Google that. It's a boutique in Madisonville, and we've been working with them to get those boots on sale and get a margin of those profits to go towards the student government endowment. One of the things that I kind of want to do, things like Ring Day, big campus-wide events, maybe put on some trunk shows, let people know about these booths. They're going to be really great, and so I think if people just see them, if people know about them, it'll definitely be a success. Yes, that is all. Moving on with, okay.
Howdy, my name is Allison Crinzine, and I am a biomedical science major, class of 2014. Oh, do we do the new one now? Sorry. Anyway, I am up for confirmation for election commissioner. I have served on election commission for 2 years. First year I was a compliance officer under Cameron Medlin, and this past year I served as director of administration under Kyle Jackson. And some of the major things I undertook with this last year was the student body president debates. I worked with the George Bush Library to get the room and worked to organize moderators and all of those details, and learned a lot of really great leadership and administration techniques through that position. My freshman year, I was a member of the philanthropy committee for the Pre-Med Society, and I've really worked with service with that organization, and served with Boys and Girls Club with Brian, and St. Joe's and Brian, and it's just been a great opportunity. I love being out in the community and meeting those people, and really getting to see what their lives are like and what they need to do. So since I love service so much, I've decided to run for this position, and these are some of the things that I would really love to do this year. The first thing is an idea. It's called instant runoff voting. It's something that is in place in several states around the U.S., and it's used in Australia and the UK and other countries around the world. And basically it's a ranking system. So when you cast a ballot, you rank your candidates first through however many there are, and in the order of their preference, obviously. And when ballots are counted, if no one has a majority, you strike through the person who got the least number of votes, and you redistribute their votes based on their constituents' preference. It's a complicated process, and I'd love to talk to y'all about it more, but that's the basic idea, that it's a ranking system, and it's been used elsewhere, and it's a really great idea. There are some issues that could potentially come up with it. It could potentially be a programming issue. I don't know if the IT here has the capabilities to do that kind of thing with such a large pool, and some other things. So it's something I would really like to investigate. I think it has a lot of potential to help out with the problems that we've seen in the last few years with elections. Expanding the student body president debates, it's really expanding the marketing process. I was talking in the meet and greet with one of the senators about freshmen are not aware that they can vote for their freshman class president, and that is not okay. As election commissioner, it would be my job to ensure fair and equitable campus-wide elections, and that includes incoming freshmen. The freshman elections are not blow-off. They're extremely important, and so getting our marketing campaign started as soon as freshmen hit the campus to make sure that they're included. And then finally, the rules and regulations. I'd really like to take a close look at that, especially the finance section that was written primarily by people who have finance and accounting backgrounds. It's always kind of been shifted towards them, and they take care of it. And I'd really like to get in that and see what's unclear to your average student who doesn't understand why those were written the way that they are.
Howdy. Howdy. Hi, my name is Jose Luis Zelaya, and I am a graduate student here at Texas A&M, specializing in English as a second language. And I'm hoping to be confirmed by y'all so that we can start working tomorrow with VP of Diversity. And first of all, I want to be able to start with talking about what diversity means, because sometimes diversity is seen as a bad connotation that separates us, and it's tearing us apart. But diversity, what truly diversity is the idea that we are similar, that we are the same, I don't want to respect somebody just because they are different than me. I want to respect somebody because they're my sisters, because they're my brothers, because we are the Aggie family, because one day all of us are going to have a ring that says that we are Aggies, and that our hearts truly be maroon. So I don't want to talk about diversity from an idea that separates us, but more from an idea that unites us. And yes, there are going to be differences, but let's embrace those, and let's learn about getting educated from those. So some of my qualifications is that I have experience leading teams, leading from soccer teams to ping pong teams to magic teams to organization teams. I have been able to do a lot of leading. So I think that I can. There's a lot that I can still learn, but I think that I have some knowledge of organizational structure that can help me whenever we put a great, diverse community together to be able to ensure that students here at Texas A&M feel welcome. I have a strong connection with the diverse leadership community here at Texas A&M. A lot of the work that I do here at A&M for the last years have been making sure that the international student that is from China, that I was talking to him the other day, and I was telling one of them that I like playing marbles, and he told me that he also likes playing marbles. So that started a great communication between the two of us, and no matter what part of the world we're from, that there's something that unites us. And at Aggieland, that means that we are Aggies. So I have a great connection with the DMS, with the Office of Diversity, with General Weber, with student activities, with organizations from religious to big event, to breakaway, to the GLBT, to Latino organizations, to African American, to Asians, and we are willing to be able to work together, not to separate us from the mainstream, but to be able to come together in the idea that we are the Aggie family. I have experience organizing and co-programming with several Tamil organizations. We have done a lot of co-programming here at Texas A&M. One of the things that I can think of is that a few months ago, 1 year ago, we did a World Cup where we invited a lot of organizations, and we did a soccer World Cup where we were able to raise funds for charity, and that's one of the goals that we are seeking to put together next year, but not just for soccer. We will do something like Olympics where we can be more inclusive of a lot of students that may not like playing soccer. My vision. This is something that I'm going to take very, very serious. A more educated Aggie is a better Aggie. I think that if we have education on a lot of diverse issues happening on campus, I think that would make us have a better understanding of who we are and have a better appreciation of people are coming from. So one of the things that we're going to make sure is that we have a lot of education. We'll have student organizations come and talk to Student Center about who they are, about their background, about their cultures, so that y'all can get to know them and they can get to know y'all. A diversity plan for SEA that would include respect, inclusiveness, education, and collaboration will be the keys of all of this. Unifying Texas A&M University to the idea that we're not going to respect each other because we're different. We're going to respect each other because we are Aggies and because we are the Aggie family. And the other one that I'm really, really excited working with y'all is to create a network such as the Aggie Union. That's something that we'll start as soon as possible. That we want to be able to create this network to increase the desire for students to actively pursue the core values and enrich unity between all students. And the other one is something that is going to be very, very important. We are going into the SEC in Texas, and I want Texas A&M to be leading, because that's what we are. We are leaders. So I want to be able to create some sort of listserv with the other VPs of diversity from their campus, and I want Texas A&M to lead that, to create a connection between other universities, and for us to learn from them, from what they're doing, and for us to also teach them that here at Texas A&M we do great things, like respecting each other, not because we're different, but because we're Aggies.
Howdy. Howdy. My name is Holly Scott. I am a freshman political science communication double major from Angleton, Texas, or Danbury if Ryan gets his way. And I am coming before you today for confirmation for the Vice President of Student Services. And I'm a rather brief person, so I'm going to keep this brief because I like to be straightforward. My experience follows by working underneath Kyle Womack for this past year on his staff of Student Services. And a lot of our work went through the outsourcing, which is one of the biggest things that I see happening throughout the next year. And I see by leading from Kyle to me, is a good transition, and it keeps consistency of people who already know what's going on as far as that particular area goes. As well as basically anything you pay a fee for, which I know sounds really bad, is what I'm working for. And my main goal is to work as a liaison between the Student Senate, the executive branch, and the administration for the students. I want to work as a researcher in order to keep John as informed as he possibly can be, to give the best decisions as far as vetoes go, so we can hopefully avoid as many as we possibly can. And I want to work as an agent of compromise between the Student Services Committee in Senate and the Student Services branch in the executive branch. And like I said, I'll keep it brief.
Howdy. Hi. My name is Brody Smith. I am a senior history and political science major from Cold Spring, Texas. But more importantly, I'm the last proud member of the Fight Texas Ag Class of 2012. Hey! And I am waiting to become confirmed for y'all's Vice President of Academic Affairs. Pretty much my qualifications are I have served in Student Senate for the past 2 years in the 63rd and the 64th session. And in the 64th session, I have served y'all's Academic Affairs Chair, which your new chair, Tyler Mandry, has taken on that position. I will be working with him very, very closely this next year if I am confirmed as VP. Next slide. Okay, these are some issues which I think are very, very critical. Y'all as a body will definitely be taking opinions and writing bills regarding these issues this next year. And it is my job as Vice President of Academic Affairs to relay y'all's wishes to the faculty and administration and implement them. As far as the academic calendar goes, there has been a bill in regards to the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, us getting that as a holiday or reading day for us to go home. That is one thing that has been on the docket for years, and I would really like for us as a Student Government Association to take a firm opinion or stance on this issue so I can take it to the faculty and implement it one way or the other. The Faculty Senate has already sent us a response to the bill that we wrote in regards to this issue. They want to give us the reading day off as the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. They want to classify it as a reading day, and then take away one of our reading days at the very end before finals. That will be y'all's job to make an opinion, and then I will take it back to both Karen Watson and the Faculty Senate for us to make our formal opinion. Another thing is a possibility of a fall break. That has been chewing on a couple of people that really want a fall break, but a couple of institutions here in Texas actually have this. For us, it would be basically a 2 days added on to a weekend where it's a away game, so we would have a 4-day weekend. The thing is, we have to figure out where those 2 days are going to come from, and it has to come from the overall academic calendar throughout the year. It would not be solely from the fall semester, and it's something that's actually feasible because the faculty actually talk about it more than we do. New thing, the Veterans Task Force has started up, and it started back in the fall of 2011. Your Senator Cody Davis is a member of that. And we have several issues that are going to be facing veterans that need to be implemented over this next year. For example, we passed several bills in the 64th session regarding to veteran priority registration, accreditation for them getting credit for their service overseas and also here in the U.S. And another thing, getting them possibly more services through the Veteran Services Office. That will be my job if y'all pass bills in the academic side of it to implement that with both General Weber, Dr. Lofton, and any other personnel that may fall into that category. Another thing that's going to be purview to the academic realm this next year is Aggies Commit, which is a new thing that comes from Dr. Karen Watson. Aggies Commit is a joint venture that comes from our QEP accreditation that happened this past year. We as a university went through a review process where under Vision 2020 and also with our academic master plan, we had to be accredited whether or not we as a university were giving a quality education to our students, which we were, whoop. And for every single piece of legislation y'all want to pass in academics that, one, gives students a better education, gets them out of here in 4 years, and make sure that they make sure it enshrines that Aggies commit to their resolve and their commitments here at this university. I will be all for passing that along to Dr. Watson, Dr. Kennemer, and others in the Faculty Senate that will be implementing that. Another issue is the Degree Plan Initiative. This next year, in fall 2012, House Bill 3025 will require all students, once they reach 45 hours, to file a degree plan. They will have a year to do that, and we will be having a new program on Howdy called Sunburst, which will allow us to do that. But for one thing, I know some of you may or may not have known exactly what major you wanted to go into when you were a student. I changed my major the first week I was here at Texas A&M University. I went from a biology major to a history major. That's kind of weird. But the thing is, it happens all the time, and we want to make sure that students are informed and aware of the decisions they're going to have to make, the careers they're going to go into after they're here at this university. I want to create a student-led degree plan. I want to do this through working with Tyler Mandry and Dr. Watson, who, this is based on students serving students, and it's based on a resume builder process that we would be able to advise students go to the new student conferences throughout their freshman year, so that they would be able to know what major they need to go into, what classes they need to take, and what career choices they need to make along the road. And finally, we never ever want to talk about this, but considering the Texas legislature is opening up in January of 2013, budget cuts. This is a hissable topic, so please, if you feel like it hiss, this is something that I'm going to have to be working very, very closely with Stephen, who's up for confirmation for VP of LR. We are going to have to, one, come up with a report that states what policy programs are going to be affected by budget cuts, potentially. We are looking at a potential 5% budget cut coming from this university, from the Texas legislature. When it comes to academic affairs, this is going to come down on me to tell y'all what programs are going to be cut, where the budget's going to be hashed out the worst, what faculty members we're going to lose, and what kind of high demand classes are going to be cut back because we don't have the professors to put in them. So I'll be working very, very closely with both your legislative relations chair here in Senate and also with Stephen on the exec team to make sure that we have a report to give the Texas legislators to show them we are something worth investing in and not to take away our money. And next up, we have Nicole Heath for CR.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
Well, my name is Nicole Heath, and I am a junior ag communications and journalism major from Coleman, Texas. But more importantly, I'm the last proudest member of the Scientific Science class of 2015. Like you can see on here, I've been in Senate. The 65th will be my 3rd session, and so I've had time to just kind of see what goes on and everything. During that time, I started out in the second half of the 63rd, so I was in legislative relations when it was community relations, or it was local, federal, and state. So I have been on a committee that's been local. Legislative affairs is what I was on this past year, and the reason I put it federal is because I just go to whatever meetings are going on and pull this in there. And so basically, I'm also a deputized voter registrar, which I think is really important because that's something that I want to really get going this year with the senators and the committee that I put together. And another thing is, I'm chair of College Republicans right now, and basically it's allowed me to kind of make connections throughout the city already, and I think that's going to be really beneficial. But I think, honestly, my most important qualification is, there's no doubt that SGA is what I'm most passionate about. And if I ever, y'all know, like, I'll stand up for students, those of you that know me, you know, if I have a problem with you, or if I, like, want to ask you something, I'm not afraid to do that, and I think that's really important whenever it comes to dealing with these city officials and everything. So next, basically, I want to have 3 committees in, I guess, that I oversee: student outreach, local outreach, and governmental outreach. And for these, I kind of want to create a universal calendar, just overall, just outlining what days we're doing stuff. That way, that information is there, so you can see that community relations really is getting something done. Because that's something, which I'll address later, that I don't think we really saw as much this year, even though they really were getting stuff done. So for student outreach, election education, basically that has to do with registering students to vote and kind of preparing a voter's guide as to what propositions are going to be on the ballot. Because I know when I go to the ballot box, sometimes they sound really weird and like, what does this really mean? Am I going to have to pay more taxes for this? But I think it'd be really good to have something to give students so it's simplified, it's outlined for them, and they actually know what they're voting on. And if Senate has something that they do pros or cons on, I guess they can come up with that. It's not my position really having opinions. I have the opinion to push up with me. And then to get students registered, I want to have work with Justin and have all his committee, and obviously anybody else in the Senate who wants to get deputized. I think that'd be really awesome. And host monthly registration tables. I mean, once a month may not sound like very much, but it allows the students just to keep seeing that we're here. Hey, maybe I should go register to vote before the next election. And then another opportunity for election registration is class opportunities. I know my big, she took a bunch of registration cards to her poli-sci professor, and he gave extra credit. That's 200 kids right there getting registered to vote. I think that's awesome. I think we can really look into that, and especially with classes that concern like voter behavior and everything. Next thing is student input. That's where I want to also use the CR committee or Senate committee. I think we can really be a good team together, and obviously I love Senate, so I really want to work with Senate too. And just utilize them to kind of get student input and get, because there's so many issues going on in the city, but we don't really know which ones students want us to focus on. So if we're going to be successful, we need to gear our efforts towards specific things. The next thing is local outreach, community participation. That's, I mean, events going on with the Chamber of Commerce, anything like that. Because the only thing we really do is big event, and I think that's awesome. Big events, so fantastic. But the community really only sees students as a whole once a year. And like, if we could just have a few students at just any, I guess, I don't know, events going on around town, that'd be awesome too. Community organizations. That's like homeowners association, working with those groups so that if they have a problem with students parking on a certain side of the road, they don't go to the city, they come to us about that, and we can work on fixing that. That way we just kind of build that bridge and I guess form those relationships. The next thing is local media, because we don't have a GB communication this year, and I am a comm major. This is kind of cool to me. And I really think we need to reach out to local media. We can't expect them to reach out to us, so that's being persistent and writing press releases about what SGA is doing, because if you don't have any, if they have no interest in you, they're not going to come to you. You have to seek them out at first for them to get interested in you. Next thing is governmental outreach. City officials go to their meetings. Obviously, their Brian's on Tuesdays and college stations on Thursdays, so go to those. And I don't even think we should just go to those only when there's student concern stuff, because they need to see my face or whoever's face pretty often. At those meetings, citizen committees, this is an awesome opportunity for students to get involved actually within the city. And there's literally like 20 committees that students can apply for, and it looks great on a resume. It lets you see a different side of, I guess, college station, not just here on campus, and it really helps us bridge that gap between the community and the students. So I think that would be really awesome. And then Student Senate, like I said, Senate is important to me, and this year Matt built awesome relationships. But we didn't, in Senate, like, we really didn't know that because we never saw him. So, I mean, coming every third or fourth Senate meeting saying, hey, this is what's going on in the city. Like, I'm still here doing things. I think that's awesome. Just because I really want CR this year to, I don't know, be a really well recognized EP position. And I think that's it.
Howdy. Howdy. My name is Stephen Trevor, and I'm going for Vice President of Legislative Relations. I would firstly like to speak to you tonight about a little about why I'm personally standing here. Texas A&M to me is more than a school. It represents the epitome of what all universities should strive to be. Not only does it highly educate its more than 50,000 students, it builds in them values, morals, and a solid character in a way that no other university ever could. The traditions and values on which the university was built on over 130 years ago have not only remained in the student body, but are also exemplified daily. As a proud member of that student body, it would bring me no higher joy than to serve as an active member of its student government and to leave a legacy that will certainly last for many years to come. Secondly, I'd like to give you a little bit about my background. I'm an economics major. I've always had a keen interest in state-level politics. I've been around state and local-level politics my entire life. My grandfather was a legislator for 24 years. I've had many other family members that have held different elected positions. I understand the process of lobbying and bill passing. I've had 2 state government internships. I've been a part of mock governments such as Boise State, where I was elected a senator and wrote and passed bills. And I currently hold other leadership positions in other organizations on campus. I have a good understanding of all aspects of the legislative process, and I feel I can use that to benefit Texas A&M in the best way possible by reflecting the views and opinions of the student body to our legislators in Austin and Washington. I feel, however, that the student body can best be represented by large numbers of students, particularly in the state level. Because of this, I have gone ahead and organized a barbecue at Chancellor Sharp's home on May 9th after finals, where the Chancellor is going to speak to all of us about his extensive career in state politics and give all of the student government information and tips on how to effectively help in legislative relations and lobby if y'all so desire. So y'all should be getting an email on that shortly. You're welcome to come again. It's May 9th. On the slide are some key legislative issues. Or I guess it's not there. Well, I have some. I can speak to you a little bit about that in questions, I suppose. I can see this position being an extremely valuable asset to the student body, president, the SGA, and administration of A&M in general. We have a golden opportunity in this next legislative session to get a lot of legislation passed in favor of A&M. I can effectively use this position to keep the most up-to-date on all matters of legislation, policy, and funding directly and indirectly affecting A&M College Station and the A&M system as a whole. I can directly work with legislators and government administrators to determine which legislation and policies are affecting A&M and determine along with the SGA, student body in general, and administration nonpartisan platform positions on all issues to positively affect the university in the best way possible. Because of the importance of legislation and administrative policy making to the A&M system, this role is an invaluable asset to the university, and I feel I can competently fulfill it. Thank you.
Howdy. Howdy. Guys, I've been really excited to bring this group in front of you for about a week now, and I hope that you guys can see why I've been so excited. I know for a fact that these are the best people who apply for these positions, and that they're going to be most able to represent students and to enact positive change for the student body. These people completely earned these positions, okay? I want to take y'all a little bit through the process we talked about last week. I want to drive it home tonight. We have blind applications. We handle this exactly like an HR process would be handled. We have blind applications so that whenever I reviewed these apps, I didn't know who was who. I couldn't give somebody an interview because I knew who they were. So we read those. Y'all have those applications. I hope that y'all are able to review them. We gave out these interviews. And the ultimate decision on who is standing here tonight was based on those interviews. And I can tell you that although y'all were not in those interviews, these people blew us away. And I was not the person who ultimately made this decision. We averaged the scores of the other top staffers who were in there with the interviews with us. We had advisors in there in the interviews with us, and we averaged our scores. And we ultimately were able to come to the exact same decision on every single person. There was no division among us, and that, I think, speaks a lot to how well these people did. On another note, we could have just as easily have gone around and said, we think you did a great job in legislative relations this past year. We just come and serve on executive cabinet. We'll put you in front of Senate, and we'll hope that they confirm you. No, we conducted this process so strenuously and paid attention almost painfully to every single detail for this night tonight so that y'all know that we did everything that we possibly could to make this as fair as possible. Please let that be clear. And it's not fair to these people or to the process at all for y'all and y'all's debates later to say, you know what, that person didn't do as good of a job in this committee, or he didn't do a good job in that other organization outside of student government. No, this process, we did not take any past involvement into consideration. That they were able to talk about their qualifications, great, that went into it. But we didn't take any outside knowledge outside of the interview into our decision. And I don't think that it's fair for you guys tonight to debate over little loose ends that might have gone the wrong way in the past or little assumptions that you might have about people. That's not fair. We didn't put that into the process. I don't think that y'all should do that either. Now I'm going to address an issue that I've heard some of y'all talk about tonight. I want to be upfront about it. There are three people up here tonight who ran for student body president. Golly, I can't even count. 3 people up here who ran for student body president. The 3 of these people endorsed me. It happened. These people ran for student body president because they were incredibly qualified to lead and they were incredibly passionate about serving Texas A&M. There's no other reason in the entire world why anybody would want to run for student body president. I was up till 6 a.m. last night working on stuff. It is a long hours. It is a hard job. You've got to have a passion for this university to do that. These people are qualified to lead and to serve. all other 5 SBP candidates applied for cabinet. And you know what? 2 of those candidates who endorsed me, I turned down for cabinet positions. And it sucked for them, it sucked for me, but I didn't believe that they were going to be the best for the team. It turns out that one ended up coming back out for another position, and it just so turns out that ultimately he was the only person who could serve in that position who applied. The other person who applied is serving in a different position on cabinet here tonight. Not only was he the only person, but I very firmly believe that he's going to be the best internal vice president that I could ever ask for. I just want to drive that fact home, that it would be a knock on my integrity, and I would not bring myself to giving somebody a favor for doing something really bad. And I hope that you guys trust me enough and think enough of me and the way that I've conducted myself with you guys so far to know that I would not just hand out favors to people. Y'all know this, I've told y'all, I don't have a ton of SGA experience. I need the best people on this cabinet. I know for a fact that these are the best people to help me out this year. More than anything, this is a team that is ready to serve. And I think that that is the most important fact out of anything. I would take 12 cabinet members who are incredibly passionate about serving Texas A&M over 12 really qualified people who are going to be a little bit lackadaisical about their work. These people are ready to serve, and they want to get to work with you guys as soon as possible. I'm asking you guys to trust me tonight. These are the best, and the process was fair, and I cannot wait to start working with them soon. Tonight is going to be the night that is going to set us up for success in the upcoming year, and I'm asking y'all to confirm these nominees tonight. I had a conversation with Scott Bone the other night, and he said, John, I think that we can get a lot of really amazing things done this year. And I could not agree with him more. And so I'm asking you guys to start here tonight, confirm these nominees, and let's get to work tomorrow morning. Thanks and giggle.
Okay, that concludes the period of presentation for all nominees. We will now move into individual question and answer. John, this can be up to you. Do you want to have every single one answer questions in line, and then we will debate one after, like we'll do all the question and answer, then all the debate? Or do you want to do question, answer, debate, they're done, question, answer, debate, they're done, like that?
I'll say let's do it all together. I think let's do it all together. Okay. So, question, answer, everybody, and then debate.
All right.
One personal preference. Can the presentation be emailed out to all of us?
Yes, it can. Okay, so we will start a question and answer. Each one is 5 minutes, and remember that this is 5 minutes, counting the time spent answering questions only, not counting the time that you spent asking the question. I will not be entertaining prefacing the question tonight, just because we have so much going on. So with that, we'll go down the agenda in order. First is nominee Drew Barber. So do we have any questions for Mr. Barber? Seeing none, we will close the period of question and answer for Drew Barber and move into Amanda Hathaway. Are there any questions for Amanda Hathaway? Seeing none, we will move on to Michael Apple. Are there any questions for him? Seeing none, we will move into question and answer for Jose Ruiz. Senator Williamson.
Senator Williamson, off campus. Is it true that you can do magic? I like it.
Look at it.
The question is no.
Point of parliamentary inquiry: is witchcraft allowed in this chamber?
Thank you. Are there any further questions for Mr. Luis or Mr. Zelaya? Seeing none, are there any questions for Jackie Murat? Seeing none, are there any questions for Allison Krenziel? Senator Smith.
Senator Smith, Agriculture and Life Sciences. Considering what happened with the senior yell year runoff discount, can you explain what happened with that and how you would want to avoid something like that in the future?
Sure. Okay, so when a student casts votes for positions, they turn in their ballot and they have the opportunity to abstain from any or all races. So they don't have to vote for student body president, they don't have to vote for Senate, they can vote for whatever they want. And so what happened was when votes were tallied, all ballots were taken into consideration as opposed to just the ballots that had votes for senior yell year. And so what that did was it messed with the percentages, and really it was an IT issue. The election commission was not involved in the ballot counting process. Obviously it's electronic. But the way that we can avoid that in the future is really getting more involved in the review process, making sure that we go through and double check, does this number make sense, is this realistic, or these are really the percentages. And now that we know that that's potentially a problem, it's not happened to our knowledge before, we're really going to be extra vigilant about making sure that doesn't happen whenever the terrible situation goes involved.
Are there any further questions for Mrs. Krenziel? Seeing none, we will move into question and answer for Khalid. Are there any questions for Senator? Seeing none, we will now move into question and answer for Brody Smith. Seeing none, we will move into question and answer for Stephen Traeger. Senator Heisler.
Commissioner Freckles.
Seeing as there are no other questions. Okay, there are other questions, so I'm not going to give them.
It's okay. Okay. I saw Texas Beyond Timeline on your presentation. Could you elaborate a little bit more about what your plan is for lobbying for that?
Well, to give those of y'all who don't know, the Beyond Time loan program is basically where a student can come, and if they're in financial need, they can take out this loan. And what the loan is it's just like any other loan, but it's non-interest. And if they graduate on time, so within like 4 years, there's exceptions for engineering students and I think architecture students, but if they graduate on time and with the fee average, the loan turns into a grant. So it's essentially, it's a really efficient way to give out money to students because it just verifies that they earn it. You see what I'm saying? One of the problems though was in the last in fiscal 2011, 36% of the money allocated by the Texas legislature was not used in that program. And so what typically happens when for something like that is the Texas legislature is going to go back and cover this issue. And they're going to say, well, look, 36% of say that, I don't know what the figure is, but say they allocated $20 million to that. And 36% of it wasn't used, they're going to all argue, you know, we don't want to put $20 million back into that because it's a waste of money. So as far as lobbying for that goes, I mean, I feel like I and my committee would do everything we could to try and lobby the legislators to not do that, to not take money away from that, because I do truly feel it's a very efficient way to give out grants. As far as internally within A&M, I think we should encourage students to take that. Because, I mean, students that say couldn't get other grants, why wouldn't you take this? If 36% of it wasn't used, I mean, there's something wrong there. Because all you have to do is graduate on time and graduate with the average, and you're given the money. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Senator Sparks.
Mr. Sparks off campus. Is there a major legislative issue you think needs to be addressed before we break for summer?
Before we break for summer? Not too much. I mean, the legislature is going into session in January, of course. So basically the spring semester of next year. And I mean, I believe in y'all's packets I have some key legislative issues. I mean, all those are. I have three that I feel are extremely important, and then there's tons of other legislation, but there's nothing really in particular before summer. during that barbecue that Chancellor Sharp is giving for y'all, he's going to talk about lobbying, and he could have some issues that he wants y'all to talk about. But I think one of the things is that he is going to encourage y'all to, if you get an opportunity, you know, maybe not spend too much time, but if you get an opportunity to meet your representative or your respective legislator, you know, from your home district over the summer, and talk to him about it. And I'm sure he's going to give you some issues to talk to him about. But as far as like one major important one, not so much.
Are there any further questions for Mr. Traeger? Seeing none, we'll move into the final period of question and answer for Holly Scott. Senator Williams.
Luke Williams, South Campus. I have permission to preface, actually.
Seeing as there are no other questions, it is granted.
I just want to address a brief question I have after looking at your tentative timeline. I have read over that and I understand that it's difficult to predetermine what issues are going to rise and how those are going to need to be addressed. But I would just like to wonder if you have any tangible plans to stay on top of the outsourcing and title field renovation plans.
The key thing about outsourcing is that it's very dependent on the administration. And my main goal for the outsourcing is to execute the Student Senate bill that was passed in the 64th session that states that we will stay involved and we will have students in the meetings and helping with the decisions in order for us to not get overlooked, because we are the purpose of the university. As far as the Kyle Field renovations, once again, the key is to stay involved and attend as many meetings as we possibly can and be sure that we're not overlooked for the purpose of, because I know the space I stand in is worth a whole lot more to an alumni. Because for the $300 and X amount of dollars that I pay for my all sports pass, they could get a $1,000 donation in order to buy the ticket. And so the main thing is, other teams are afraid to play us here at Kyle Field. They're afraid to come here. I went to dinner the other night with Kyle Womack, and he mentioned that the student body president from Alabama had called Jeff the other day and asked, how do you keep your students there? They're the national champions, and they can't keep their students at the games, yet every single Aggie who can make it is standing there the entire game yelling their heads off. That's why we have to be sure, because the space I stand in isn't worth as much to me financially as to an alumni, but one day I will be an alumni, and as my daddy told me when I was talking to him about it, you don't get the alumni unless you brainwash them now. So in order for us to have anybody to spend thousands of dollars in a donation in order to have the right to buy the ticket, we have to stay involved now to be ensure that our student section stays as large as it is now, to ensure that Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Mississippi State, which we better win, they're afraid to come play us here. Does that answer your question?
Sure. With about 2.5 minutes remaining in question and answer, Senator Russo.
Senator Russo, off campus. I asked your counterpart on Senate this. Do you know what you're getting yourself into?
A lot of late nights and a lot of suit wearing and hiking across campus in bees, which is not fun, let me tell you about it. And a lot of work, but I'm excited about it.
Great, thank you.
Are there any further questions for Mrs. Scott? Seeing none, that concludes question and answer. If all of the nominees could please leave the room, or at least the nominee who is being considered at any given time can leave the room. And the first one will be Mr. Barber. So we will begin with debate against. Okay. Speaking against, you have 2.5 minutes, Senator Pockhotter.
Senator Pockhotter off campus. Well, first off, howdy.
Howdy.
Okay. I'm a new senator, so I'm not going to act like I know everything, and I'm not going to act like I know True Barber very well. But I did my homework. I did research on it. So he was CR chair last year, but only 3 bills went to the committee, and only 2 got passed. The first one on September 7th, the second one on November 16th. Now, to there's a huge gap in between. One went through, but it didn't get passed. And compared to all the other ones, all the other committees had at least 10 bills, I believe, and that's just not getting work done. And some of the qualifications for IVP are he needs to be relatable and responsible, well organized and able to facilitate a large range of SGA, and consistent in keeping members accountable for their responsibilities. Now, he can't facilitate the CR committee, so how is he going to be able to facilitate a large range of SGA? I just don't see that happening. So, and also being consistent in keeping up with the team members and holding them accountable, he can't hold himself accountable for his own responsibilities. That's just me. I didn't know him, so I was on the committee, I wasn't in Senate, so he could have done something completely different. That's just my view. I yield to Chair Miller.
You have a minute left.
Chair Miller, Constituency Affairs. I was in Drew's committee, and I've been in the Senate, I think, since October, and I have not attended a meeting yet. I couldn't go to the first one because I had work, and since then he's held 2 email meetings. We didn't really get anything done. I have his email right here. It says, with no pending legislation or pressing issues on the local level, I can hold an email meeting for the week. And then he goes on to ask our ideas on basically how we think we can get students voted or registered to vote. And like that's a good cause and everything. It's really important, but we never did anything. Like I can honestly say I never went to a meeting in CR. Barbara never asked me about anything about going to a meeting, and I never did anything. I didn't do anything in CR. I probably spent more time with student services than I did CR, and that's really sad because that was my commitment.
Okay, speaking in favor, Senator Davenport.
Well, howdy. Well, I'm extremely excited to be able to speak on behalf of Drew and to kind of put some of Senator Potcotter's concerns into light, I guess, and some of the ones that Chair Miller had as well. I had the privilege of serving as the Executive Vice President last year under Jeff, and so I oversaw our community relations efforts, which let me just go ahead and tell you, we accomplished a lot in CR last year. As a result of Drew and Matt Cope, my Vice President, we were able to make sure that students vote in November rather than in May, whenever we're disenfranchised enough. And that was with Drew and with Matt and working with community leaders to form a citizens political action group. I don't know if you saw the signs that we had, but they were awesome. And we ended up voting no on that by 63%, 2/3. And that is a direct credit to Drew and what he was able to do, CR working well with his counterpart. And we did pass legislation on that. That was actually the September 7th meeting, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that bill was actually authored by me. And then to kind of talk a little bit about his role as an IVP. I actually served with Drew for 2 years in the Conference of Student Government Associations, COSGA. He and I both served as hosts. I served as hosts. He might have been on a committee. But Drew has a great relationship with the committee chairs across the internal kind of programming side of SGA, which I think is a great credit to him. Whether it's Megan in COSGA or if it's Justin Cardenas with the big event, Drew has great relationships with them that are really going to set him apart as an IVP from those in past years. And kind of like Senator Potcotter said, he could have done something completely different. Well, Senator Potcotter, he did. And so I hope that I've shed a little bit of light on that for you to kind of see that Drew was very effective. Now, Senator Miller, let's kind of talk about some of your points. That you didn't have many CR bills. Well, there really wasn't a whole lot going on in city politics this year. And that's kind of what we did. We're in constant communication with former Senator Jess Fields, who's a councilman, as well as many of the other council persons who currently occupy Bryan College Station. And there wasn't a whole lot going on. We had a couple of things that kind of popped up that kind of subsided. Drew sent me an email in the summer last year to help us form this great partnership with the Brazos Valley Apartment Owners Association. Invaluable. But why did you not get asked any questions? And Senator Miller, where were your bills in CR last year? So I don't know. Let's be fair here and show some at least dignity and respect to those who are coming out.
Please stand and say your point.
I'm not supposed to address any.
That is correct. During debate, you were not supposed to address senators directly. Under Robert's rules, debate is directed at the chair. So, just so that everyone's aware of that. Speaking against Chairman Andrew.
Howdy.
Howdy.
First of all, you brought up a great point about getting voters registered, yes, but that was in September. What has gone on since September? And my answer is nothing. We have, Chair Miller, I hope you don't mind me using your name. He came in this semester, I believe. So he hasn't been there. He's been there this whole semester. He says he hasn't been to a committee meeting the whole time. That's unacceptable. Guys, the thing we have to remember tonight is that actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. And inaction speaks a whole lot louder than talking about action. We cannot have, it's unacceptable to have a committee that has no meetings, almost no meetings.
Point of information?
Yes.
Please send the city board.
Maybe out of order, so just let me know. But can Senator or Chair Mandry state any issue that went unaddressed in community relations? I just for factual basis.
If you're asking, is there any issue that was brought up, like any bills that were brought up in community? I mean, you have to say this in kind of a factual way. So are you asking if there were any bills that were brought up?
Are there any major issues that went unaddressed?
Points of information are directed to the chair. So I will answer your question. Are there any major issues that went unaddressed?
A point of order is
you tattling on me?
No, okay. Individuals who are not student senators are not allowed to be in the Senate seating area or on the floor during the day. So. Okay. Anyway, to address your point, if you're asking if there are any major issues, that's obviously an opinion question. So I can't answer that. Were there any issues at all that were not addressed by community relations? Well, of course. I mean, there were city council meetings, so obviously those had issues. But if you're asking me to make a determination based on how major something was or whether it was worth being addressed by the student senate, I can't answer that in an unbiased way.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because the job of a chair is not to sit back and wait for issues to come to you. It's to go out and see issues, find out what's going on in the community, talk to the city to improve student living, improve the housing codes to make them more favorable for students, things like that. I'm not the chair. I don't know everything. But it's his job to go out and do that, and I don't feel that he fulfilled that position. With that, I'd like to yield to everyone. Senator Lewis.
So, Drew gave a very excellent presentation. I was very impressed by it. Last year, Drew gave a very impressive presentation. I was very impressed by that. He outlined many initiatives that he wanted to take on. He was very slick. I remember different people said, "Oh, look at the presence that he has. Like he'll just have great presence with the city council. We'll be able to get a lot of great things done finally with NCR." And then nothing happened. We had a voter bill and a Prop 1 bill. There are several things that could have been addressed. There are streets in College Station where students want to park in front of their house, and there are streets where students are no longer able to park in front of their houses. That's something that we could have addressed. Utility rates are things that we want to address. We shouldn't be reactive within Student Senate. We should be proactive. We should try to make things better before there's a glaring problem in our face. So yes, Chair Barber, as the chair, should have held meetings and should have found out what needed to be brought to the forefront and what needed to be put into the bill. That yields the floor.
Mr. Speaker, in the interest of time, I move for previous question.
Okay. A motion has been made for a previous question and it's been seconded by multiple senators. All those in favor of previous question, and if you don't know what previous question is, it is closing the debate and moving into a vote. So all those in favor of previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
The chair calls his own division. So all of you who are in favor of closing the debate, please stand. This requires 2/3 to pass. I have 35. All those opposed, please stand.
Mr. Speaker, EDO vote.
Oh, the stand is 36.
Point of information. Do we have unequal amount of time for against and for?
Yes, we did.
It is.
I have 15 against and 36 in favor, so that is 2/3. So the debate is now closed and moving into a vote. Is there a motion for a ballot vote?
So moved.
That has been moved. Let's hand out ballots. And let's hand out a lot of ballots so that we can kind of just hang on to these and not have to ask
You want to go ahead and get it?
Yes.
Okay, so important things on your ballot. Make sure you write which race it is, your name, and either for or against. And that may seem obvious, but you would be amazed. So, what race it is, your name, for or against.
Some of them are based in.
Yeah, which is why it doesn't matter which ballot you get, your race, or the race, not your race, the race, your name, or right.
Awesome. Just knows we have this you have enough?
Balance.
Has anyone not voted yet? Or not had their ballot turned in? If not, the body will come back to order and we will move into the next executive nominee, and we will announce results as we get them, but in the interest of time, we're not going to wait around for every single one. So with that, if individuals who are not senators could please leave the debate area, individuals who are senators could please come to order and sit down, and we will move into Amanda Hathaway. Okay. Is there any debate against Senator Hathaway?
Let her get out.
No. Seeing none, we will now move into a period of voting. Is there a motion for a ballot vote? So moved. That has been moved. Let's vote again. This is on Amanda Hathaway.
Anybody need an extra ballot?
Yeah, I always got one. Just
Do you guys have?
give me one.
You need ballots?
We're good.
Will?
What is your university
Are there any further votes out there for or against Samantha Hathaway?
Yes, there are.
Okay. So while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and announce the result of the last vote for Drew Barber. By a vote of 18 in favor and 32 against, Drew Barber is not confirmed for internal vice president. So, are all ballots for All right, are there any further ballots? Seeing none, we will now move into a period of debate on Michael Apple for Vice President of Finance. Is there any debate against? Chair Sosa.
Howdy. Howdy. As finance chair, I think it's very important when we look at this position right here because this is a position that is going to advocate for our fees and tuition. And what I've gotten when I've talked to the nominee and overall the application and everything is that there's no experience in fees and tuition. When I ran for finance chair, I had a lot of experience, and I had no intention to run for finance chair at the beginning of my freshman year when I started researching fees and tuition. And I think that when I presented here, you all really considered my experience when you all decided to vote for the position of finance chair. And I think that with that same mentality, you need to vote for this finance position because we pay millions of dollars in tuition fees, and that many, we really don't have any direct impact on it. So it's really important that we have someone that is ready and well prepared to advocate for us when we pass bills regarding fees and tuition. With that, I yield to Senator Wilson.
Hi guys. That's something I want to echo that Senator Sosa said, that we really need to focus on tuition and fees. He said a lot about his experiences that he had, but he didn't really have, it didn't seem to me like he had, just a wonderful, wonderful experience, but all-encompassing thing in finances. And so that's something I think we really need from our finance chair, somebody who's going to say, especially when the university is considering tuition increases, who's going to say, Mr. President, we really don't need tuition increases. We could just cut a lot of crap out of what we spend already and not have to raise tuition. And so with that, I yield to...
Is there any debate in favor of Michael Apple? Senator Nylander.
Senator Nylander, College of Business.
why Michael Apple is not qualified for this position. I think it's insane because nobody, as far as I remember, nobody asked him questions during Q&A about his qualifications for this position. Because I actually was the other person who applied for this position, and I feel like if SVP Claybrook thinks he's more qualified than me, I pretty damn well, sorry, excuse my language, believe it. I don't think there's any reason we should not confirm him. This is ludicrous. None of y'all stand up here and ask him questions, but when he goes outside, you're going to sit here and attack him? Are you serious right now? Please do the right thing and confirm Michael Apple. Thank you.
Speaking against Senator Russo. Oh.
Howdy, guys.
Howdy.
You can talk about not asking questions, but we had a question and answer session beforehand. A lot of people have looked at the experience. I don't think that the experience can be rectified by not asking questions. In fact, some of the concerns came about that Chair Sosa brought about because he went and talked to Michael Apple. The big important thing here is we have to have a person who's ready to go right now and ready to fight for the students and make sure that we have a good priority with the way that we allocate fees within student government. And I just don't see it right now with this candidate. I don't see the experience. I don't see the body of work. And, you know, history matters in these. You know, we can say that we're not looking at past experience and we're just looking at the interview process. But at the end of the day, you have to look at what a person has done throughout their time at A&M. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy. I'm sure he's a high character guy. But that's not all of what we have to be a finance chair, especially in this year. It's way too important. This year, we have so many things facing the student body that we just have to be 100% on top of things. And with that, I'm going to yield to Senator Luce.
Well, I wasn't ready I guess I don't really have reasons for or against. I just say, you know, we did have multiple times to ask questions. So even though we didn't ask questions during the body, it also almost becomes ridiculous to ask questions because we had a question and answer time yesterday and a question and answer time today, and then we had several hours waiting to start this meeting where you had time to ask some questions. So don't vote for or against based on that. And I'm willing to yield to somebody who actually wants to debate. Oh, Carrie.
Howdy, guys.
Howdy.
We talk a lot about qualifications for certain jobs. I just want to tell you all, you're all qualified. I think the only thing that is a requirement is to be a Texas A&M student. That's the only thing in terms of qualification. Now, if you want to talk about aptitude for the job or more qualified, you can definitely do so. But to pretend like, oh, this person's qualified and other people are not, is just some sort of elitism. Okay, everyone is qualified. They might end up doing a crappy job if they get the position, but everyone here is qualified, and that's a terrible argument for anyone to make. And I yield.
What explanation? Was that the debate against? That was the debate against. So we will now move into debate 4. And that will be Senator Cassiano.
Howdy. I don't know who said this, but saying that he won't research, he doesn't have enough experience in research. In his own presentation, he said that the fact that we have waste in student fees, and he's the one that wants to be proactive in trying to research that to make sure that we don't have waste. I'll yield to Mrs. Spartan.
Yeah, because he doesn't have extensive experience in SGA, I don't think that's definitely the reason to turn it down. We look at the finance and the way it goes in the past, we got a lot of complaints about people, how we handle that. So bringing a fresh person in and a way to handle that with a new vision, I think is important for student government. And then Mr. Chair, you would address the concern that Senator Russo brought up that he wasn't ready to fight for us on day one. We haven't passed any bills in regards to finance or student fees. I don't know how he understands how his positions are or whether or not he's ready to fight for things. We haven't even made a decision yet on whether or not we support certain issues. He seemed prepared. He seemed like he'd done his research. I think he's an important person, part of the cabinet team. I think we should confirm him. Yield to Senator Davenport.
You have a minute and a half.
I don't know Michael personally, so so I can't say that I've had any necessary interaction with him at any point. But what I can say is, and I'm sorry if this sounds like I'm beating a dead horse saying, well, last year, but because I understand, Michael's not the only person on the executive cabinet. Michael's not the only person who's going to be talking about university finance. Michael's not the only person who's going to be talking to the committees. He's got a team around him that can help him. And you know what? I would think that out of all the senators in here, we're not all probably the foremost authorities on student services or legislative affairs, but you know what? We know we can depend on one another to kind of boost us whenever we need it. And I don't know that it's fair to say that potential Vice President Apple isn't qualified for this job. I don't think that, I don't know, I really just have a problem whenever we don't ask people questions. If you have a problem about something that he hasn't said or whatever, well, let's get it out there for everybody to understand. Mr. Speaker, I know that Chair Sosa asked some questions that gave rise to some concerns. Well, I really would have liked to have known about those as well, but for some reason, those aren't being brought before the whole body. Why? That's what I want to know. I mean, if there really is an issue, I want to know about it too, so I can make an educated vote. But, I think that Mr. Apple, I think he's perfectly qualified, and the Executive Council will be there all along the way to help him do a good job as Vice President of Finance. Thanks.
The next recognition for debating gets will go to Senator Cheshire. I yield to
Sosa. Senate, I did take the time to speak with nominee Apple, and that's why I came here and briefed you out on my convictions when I met with him on his application. I met with SVP Claybrick as well. And I want you all to know that when I talked to nominee Apple, his enthusiasm didn't really seem as exciting as it appears to be tonight. His response to one of this question was, how much of an impact do we really have on fees anyway? I think that if we really want to have an impact on fees and tuition, then we have to be excited and willing to advocate with our best of our ability to administration, to the Board of Regents, to the Chancellor, and not say that we don't have any impact and put that just to rest. With that, I yield to Chair Matthew.
I'm not arguing against based on what I feel about the guy or whatnot, but I took a look at the application, and I'm just not confident that he put a lot into his application about finance. If you look, he didn't have a timetable, he didn't have a plan set out, he didn't go over many of his qualifications very well, and so that really concerns me personally. And with that, I yield to Senator Russo.
Okay, really quickly, another thing, reading over the application, since we're talking about that, a big problem with the application that I saw was that in the section where it says, state your vision for the position, a lot of that was almost word for word or a restatement of the description of the position given in the outline by the SVP. So I guess I need to see some fire, some initiative, something extra, because if you just write down what's in front of you and you think, I'll do a good job, and I'll just execute this position exactly as it's given to me. We have to have innovators, we have to have leaders, we have to have people that proactively seek a better way to serve students, and otherwise we're not taking advantage of the great resource that we have as student government. Thank you.
We have previous question. A motion has been made for previous question. Is there a second? There have been multiple seconds. All those in favor of previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. So we will now move into a vote. Is there a motion for a ballot vote?
So moved.
That has been moved.
Okay, one more reminder. Race, your name, and yes or no. We've got a lot of ballots with the race if you're voting for or against. So, all three things. That's fine. Or against, yes or no, something that is affirmative or not.
One of personal preference. Can we get some more ballots over in this area? We're lacking. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's been addressed.
Point of information on the floor. Please say your point. Yes, I was just about to announce that after this vote, actually. Senator Hathaway was confirmed for Vice President of University Committees by a vote of 46 in favor and 1 against.
Anybody else?
It really doesn't matter either way. But I guess I'll ask, do you want to do swearing in individually or all together? It's up to you. So. Yes. She's still a senator until she was sworn.
You have to repeat that. She had like 10 letters now.
Yes, she does.
I got
So that, I guess that Are there any further votes? Are there any further votes? Seeing none, the body will come to order. And we will now move into debate on Jose Luis Zelaya for Vice President of Diversity. Is there any debate against? Senator Packard.
Senator Packard, off campus. Looking at his tentative timeline for next year, I noticed that in September he started coordinating with Hispanic Heritage Month, but for February and April he didn't mention anything about Black History Month or April Asian Heritage Month. And I just kind of struck me because he's all about diversity and he's so passionate about it, but I don't know why he would forget about two huge ones like that, in my opinion. But I just think that's something that needs to be addressed, and that's just my view on that. And to that, I yield to Senator Cheshire.
Howdy, guys.
Howdy.
My biggest problem with Jose is that he seems like, as Packard pointed out, he's a single-issue candidate. Now, Jose as a person is a great guy. I think he's a wonderful person. I met with him. I think there are lots of great things about him. He's a great man of faith, and I am too, but that's not really what we're talking about here. We're not talking about if Jose is the best guy at shaking hands or if Jose is the best friend. We're talking about is if Jose would be the best Vice President for Diversity. And I don't think it's diverse to be so focused on one issue. In fact, one issue that you are, and I myself am Hispanic as well. And I don't think that diversity is really your issue. Thank you. Any yields?
Okay, we will now move to debate for Senator Sparkman.
Mr. Speaker, it seems to me that a lot of people have issues that they didn't have addressed before time, and they're wanting to get addressed now in debate, try to make a scene here. What's going on? Senator, or nominee Jose Luis Zelaya is one of the most diverse people in the amount of organizations that he visits. Yes, he was the president of a Hispanic organization, but you can ask members of all these different organizations on his involvement with them. And you, Pro Tem Fernandez, can speak to this on how much he is involved with all the different groups across campus. He's a very religious person. He goes speaks at the atheist group and goes and listens to them. He's a very passionate person about what he does, passionate about people's differences and learning to embrace people. And he's the right person we have for this position. If anything, I think it's important that we really look at his qualifications and his passion to serve. This position has always been one with a real ambiguous title and a real ambiguous description, but he's got some goals now. Chair Harris has helped define this with the Aggie Union, something he can work towards now. He's studied it, he's ready to go, he's excited to work on it. And I'll yield to Senator Castilla for 1 second.
Yeah.
If you had a problem with just one group of people being on a list, why didn't you ask? If he had other intentions of getting other people involved, that's a simple question that you can make addressed to him so he can tell you his opinion about it. Jose is the most qualified guy that can be in this position because he works with GLBT, he works with multicultural groups in the MSC, he works with not just the Hispanic Society, he works with a bunch of different diversity groups, or different groups that are really diverse. I'll leave it to Nicole here.
Okay, Nicole, probably the thing that really ticks me off at this whole entire situation is y'all are debating against all these people. Y'all didn't ask a single question except for just 2 people that tried to protect. And then not only that, you don't put people that let's go straight to say here, there's sides right now in here, and you don't put people in your side up in these positions. You're like, oh, we don't like the people who apply. Well, then apply yourself, Dad. Okay, if you're not going to confirm Jose because he's political in nature, well, I'm a TAC. Obviously, that's political in nature. You're not going to confirm me either because I have strong beliefs about conservatism. He can't do anything without Senate's permission. And by golly, if you don't give it to him, he's not going to do it. And I had the exact same worries about him too, but he's not going to do that. Yes, he's passionate about his stuff, but he's not going to just go dream act on us, guys. That's what the issue is. It's the lack of consideration. All it's to say, like, be honest, people.
Okay. Senator Heitzel.
I mean, am I next to go speak against? That's what I was doing. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, just, sorry. Okay, raising a fist is against, raising a hand is for, and if you, please be sure you, if you do want to debate, you hold your hand up long enough that I'll kind of like look around, either like give a little nod or something like that, just to show that I've acknowledged that someone's on the list. But you will be next.
Sorry. Obviously, I'm new senator. My issue is not putting a single issue candidate. That was a concern of mine coming in tonight. I feel like he did an adequate job in his presentation talking about how he plans to do different things. And my issue, although I hate to bring it up, I really do. My issue is how this could have a negative impact on Texas A&M. I don't know if y'all are aware, but there's already been a New York Times article written about the fact that we have, he's not ashamed of it. He comes out and calls us, he is an illegal alien, and we already have, I'm sorry, the truth is the truth, the law is the law. I have nothing against him personally. I just feel like pointing into this position could have a negative impact on Texas A&M if it were to get out in the media.
Point of information, is this germane? Germane to the nomination?
That's okay. That would be a point of parliamentary inquiry.
Point of parliamentary inquiry, is it germane?
There is nothing in the bylaws or rules and regulations or Robert's Rules of Order governing the content of debate, as long as it is addressed to the chair and not individual senators.
Point of information.
Please stand and say your point.
Where do we stand in terms of for and against right now?
are speaking, how many are on the list to speak for, and how many are on the list to speak against?
Correct.
So far, I have five more on the list to speak for, and none left on the list to speak against.
Then I move to previous question.
The motion for previous question has been made and seconded. All those in favor of previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
In the opinion of the chair, previous question fails, and we will now move into debate 4. Senator Heath, you have the next recognition. Do you want to deal with someone else?
Wait,
Catherine Eidler, College of Business. Okay, so somebody over here said that this could reflect poorly on the university. I don't see how this reflects poorly on the university. If anything, it brings us to the 21st century, that we're not burning people at the stake for being who they are. Because you know what, at the end of the day, Jose Luis Zelaya is an Aggie. Just like you, just like me, just like everybody in the single person in this room. It is insane that, once again, all of you sit here and refuse to ask him legitimate questions in front of the body. Yes, you may say, oh, I wouldn't ask him a question in private, blah, blah, blah. None of you come up here and say, oh, this is a concern I have for, about you, let me ask it so everybody can hear it. No, you wait until debate, until he's gone outside to sit here and vilify him and attack him, and that is shameful. I yield to Drew Alders.
Howdy. Howdy. Senator Alders, Corps of Cadets. This is my debut speaking to y'all. I just want to say there are some things I've noticed in general, and I just want to cover them really quick. I have made an effort to get to know a lot of the senators in this room, and former people also who are in Senate in the 64th. Thomas McNutt being one of them, who is a good friend of a lot of y'all and a good friend of mine. And I've met with him, I've discovered, and I've asked him man to man whatever we call that thing that happens that y'all do. And I talked to him, and he said, he explained it to me. And he called me today, and he said that there were some things that the confirmations were going to be happening today, and that these are some of the issues that were going to be brought up. So I was aware of these beforehand, and these are things that y'all have all discussed. These are things that y'all have all gotten together and figured out. My point is, I know a lot of you personally, and I see, specific people coming up here and making arguments, and they're not legitimate. They're not. A lot of them are. The fact that we don't ask questions during the question and answer phase really does strike to me. I have no stake in either party or however this works, but this is definitely something that seems like illegitimate debate here, and the fact that we aren't asking questions whenever someone's here and addressing issues that can be answered by those people definitely strikes me as unfair. And with that, yeah, 5 seconds.
Okay. Speaking against Chair Luce.
Howdy, Chair Luce, Libertarian. Maybe know where to start. I guess I'll start by saying I wasn't even planning on debating on this. That's why whenever he's like, "Are you no debating against?" and I was like, "No debating again." And I was like, oh, "Fine, I'll debate." And the reason why is because I really like Jose. He's a really nice guy. Every time I've talked to him, we've had a great conversation. I think he has a really inspirational story. But I think that there are definitely some considerations to take that I think you should take before you vote. Something I like to say is, and this has been brought up several times, and I'd like for it to not be brought up again because it's the same old argument, is that no questions were asked. Well, why didn't you ask questions if you thought these questions were important? Where were you last night whenever they were there to have questions asked? I can tell you exactly who was there. I was there, Chair Souza was there, EDO Curley was there, Senator Cheshire, one of the people who's debating against. There were several people there, and the people who've gotten up and are saying, how dare you have the audacity to argue against this person not asking questions. You didn't ask questions last night, and you didn't ask questions during the Senate meeting. So get off your high horse, really. And then I'd also like to say, what's the next thing I want to say? I think it's really shameful. We had the senators, Senator Heisel, get up and speak. This is, I believe, this is the first time she ever spoke to this body, and she was hissed by people all across the room. That's absolutely shameful. It came from a fellow senator.